Immortal Aristocratic Family, starting by cultivating the clan's prodigies. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination. So don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like. And if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 51. A mountain is as high as a mountain? Hateful, Wang Xiangxi, who was lying on the ground and felt the sharp pain coming from his body, was the first to activate the life-saving thing left to him by the strong family member because he was weak and could not bear it. An incarnation of a jade talisman like this that was painstakingly crafted. It can be used both actively and passively. After all, after reaching the mortal transformation realm, the gap between each level is much larger than the previous realm. It is possible that the person with the jade talisman incarnation will be instantly killed by a more powerful enemy before he can react. If it could not be passively triggered, the jade talisman incarnation would not be so popular in the world of Zhenwu. Of course, in the face of absolute strength, all this is just a cloud. How dare a young person like me to do this to someone from the Wang family? As the jade talisman was activated, an earth-shaking roar suddenly resounded throughout hundreds of miles. Immediately afterwards, under the surprised eyes of countless people, a middle-aged man in brocade clothes stood on the air, and an extremely terrifying aura rose from his body, blocking the coercion emanating from Lin Chen. Oh? The fourth level of mortal transformation. It seems that your Wang family has a pretty good foundation. Feeling the aura emanating from Wang Quota, Lin Chen couldn't help but smile softly. With a very calm tone, the momentum he just released was equivalent to the fifth level of mortal transformation realm. At most it is easy to overwhelm these mortals who have not reached the mortal realm. However, if you want to overwhelm a powerful incarnation of the fourth level of the mortal realm with just your aura, this strength is far from enough. However, what surprised Lin Chen was a little bit Wang Xiangxi, an ant who has not even reached the blood-changing realm, actually has a trump card given by such a strong person. Obviously, there is more than one strong person in the Wang family who is in the mortal realm. It can even be said that the existence in front of him of the fourth level of mortal realm is also. He is not the strongest person in the Wang family. Is it because of his status as a third-grade alchemist? It seems that although the Wang family has good foundation, it is not that strong. As his thoughts turned, Lin Chen deduced the general situation of the Wang family from the current information. It stands to reason the status of a third-grade alchemist is equivalent to that of a strong person in the blood exchange realm. If you want to gain the attention of the strong men in the clan and be given such a life-saving trump card that can only be produced with great effort and time, you must either be a true genius or have the potential to become a fourth-grade alchemist. Obviously, Wang Xiangxi, who has reached middle age, does not like any of that. In other words, the fact that he had such trump cards was given to him by the strong men of the Wang family just in case to support the Li family in unifying the great Dayan City. Haha. Wang family. When he thought of this, Lin Chen couldn't help but have a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. I won't offend anyone unless they offend me. If someone offends me, I will kill them. This is Lin Chen's code of conduct. It was obvious that the Wang family's actions had violated his taboo. Fifth level of mortal transformation. Feeling the aura emanating from Lin Chen, Wang Quanda couldn't help but change his expression. Such strong men are no longer something he can resist. He suddenly changed his face and continued speaking with something meaningful in his words. Fellow Taoist, if you have any questions, please sit down and talk with us. There may be some misunderstanding. If I, a junior, have done something wrong, how about you invite me to sit with the Prince of Xiangxin County and I will personally apologize to you. Wang Huanda said while observing Lin Chen's expression, especially when talking about the prince's family in Xiangxin County. His tone became much more serious. Anyone who is not a fool can basically hear the charm of this. PFFT. A mere ant at the fourth level of mortal transformation is worthy of negotiating terms with me. Death. Lin Chen simply ignored Wang Huanda's threat. He didn't mean to talk nonsense with him at all. He raised his hand and slapped him and Wang Xiangxi, who were lying on the ground with the light palm. The palm print formed by the condensed mana just flew out of Lin Chen's hand. The ubiquitous power of heaven and earth seemed to have found its own destination and suddenly swarmed in. As a result, the palm prints that were originally the size of a normal person continued to grow bigger, and bigger under the horrified eyes of countless people. It expanded to several hundred feet in size and then slowly stopped. It's too late. It's fast. It took less than a blink of an eye from the moment Lin Chen finished speaking to the moment when the giant palm that was hundreds of feet in size formed. Then, Wang Quoto was shocked and angry. And Wang Xiangxi's eyes were full of horror, and suddenly fell down. Escape. At this moment, even Wang Quoto did not dare to hesitate at all, let alone the idea of confronting him. He just wanted to take Wang Xiangxi and escape from here. As long as you return to the Wang family, please invite the ancestors who are in retreat in the forbidden area of the clan. In addition, many powerful people from the Wang family who were in the mortal realm took action together, so he didn't believe that they couldn't suppress a person at the 5th level of the mortal realm. However, just when he was about to put his thoughts into action the next moment, his pupils couldn't help but shrink suddenly, and a great fear emerged in his heart. Why can't I move? No, as Wang Huanda's frightened voice rang out over Dayan City. Lin Chen's giant palm knocked him down from the void to the ground. Rumble as the ground shook and the mountains shook, the violent energy that filled the void dissipated. Where Wang Huanda fell, apart from a huge crater with a radius of 1,000 meters, there were only a few bloodstains scattered in it. Brother Wang is dead. Seeing this scene that turned upside down in the blink of an eye, Li Fengtian couldn't help but show a trace of great fear in his eyes, and his whole body couldn't help but tremble slightly. Strong, too strong. He was countless times more powerful than he was a few decades ago, so powerful that it made him despair. But soon, he cheered up again. J Talisman, protective J Talisman. Just now, the Wang family's mortal realm experts said that Lin Chen's cultivation is only at the 5th level of the mortal realm. Even if he has strong combat power, he cannot be the opponent of Supreme Elder Xiannian. Kill him. I will invite the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xiannian to kill him. When he thought of this, a hint of violence flashed in Li Fengtian's eyes. At this point, he had no choice. At this moment, Lin Chen's eyes happened to fall on Li Fengtian, who already had a moon-white J Talisman in his hand, and also looked at him standing in the void. Lin Chen, the head of this family, admits that I am far inferior to you in terms of talent, strategy, and strength, but, in this world, it doesn't mean that a strong person will be able to do whatever he wants. No matter how strong you are, can you be stronger than the strong men in the county? Can you be stronger than Yunai sect, one of the 10 major sects? There is a mountain higher than a mountain. Li Fengtian's eyes were bright, staring at Lin Chen's figure. He first raised and then lowered his words, which made countless people who were paying attention to the situation on the field couldn't help but feel a little confused. The county is strong. No matter how strong Yunai sect is, what does it have to do with your Li family? I have never heard of any interaction between the ancestors of the Li family and the Yunai sect. Thanks to Book Friends, 2 monthly passes for Wuming. Thanks to Book Friends, monthly tickets for 3,000 beauties. Chapter 52, Everyone, God turned the war into friendship. Compared to everyone's confusion, Lin Chen was quite clear about Li Fengtian's trump card. Therefore, when he heard this, his expression did not change much. The way he looked at Li Fengtian was as if he was watching a clown's performance, which made him feel a little uncomfortable. No, not some, yes, very uncomfortable. This look made Li Fengtian feel as uncomfortable as eating shit. Humph, I'm afraid you don't know yet. My son Xianggang became a disciple of the Yunai sect a few months ago, and was accepted as a close disciple by Supreme Elder Xiannian. He is highly regarded by the senior leaders of the sect. In the future, as long as he breaks through to if you enter the blood exchange realm, you can become the young master of the Yunai sect, and I, thanks to Master Ganger's respect, gave me a protective jade amulet. Ha, you can't think of it, right? However, your legendary life will not be in vain if you can die in the hands of the famous Elder Xiannian. As he spoke, Li Fengtian's smile became more and more wild and even wild. Wow! After hearing the explosive information revealed by Li Fengtian, the entire Great Yan City was immediately in an uproar. You know, that is the legendary Supreme Elder Xiannian of Yunai sect. Even if you look at the entire Chu dynasty in terms of strength, he is one of the top beings, and he has a great reputation. No one in Yunai sect has dared to offend his reputation for nearly 1,000 years, and many people even grew up hearing his stories. Such a terrifying existence actually accepted Li Xianggang, the son of the head of the Li family, as his disciple, and he was also a close disciple. It's a shame. I'm afraid the ancestor of the Lin family will have to carry him this time. I can't help it, that's Yunai sect, one of the top 10 sects. The Li family is really lucky to be accepted as a close disciple by such a terrifying existence, and the senior leaders of Yunai sect want to appoint him as the young sect leader, Who knows what kind of powerful talent it is? The Li family has hidden it deeply. These days, the forces in the city are becoming more sinister than the others, and the trump cards are better hidden than the others. If we upright people go up against them, we will probably lose even the scum. Hey, the city has a lot of traps. If there is no improvement after a few more years of hard work, I will go back to my hometown in the village. The noisy sounds around him did not affect Lin Chen at all. He looked at Li Fenchen, who looked arrogant, as if he had everything under control, and couldn't help but feel a sense of boredom in his heart. There is a huge difference in strength between them. No matter Wang Xiangxi or Li Fenchen, they looked so confident when they revealed their trump cards because they couldn't feel Lin Chen's power at all. Click. Just when Lin Chen was speechless and wanted to directly eliminate Li Fenchen, who had been staring at Lin Chen, noticed his calm expression as always, and couldn't help but feel hatred in his heart, and immediately crushed the Jade talisman in his hand. Why do you still act like an okay person after I revealed so many shocking secrets? Do you really think that there is nothing difficult for you in the world? I don't believe you can still look so calm. Li Fenchen, who crushed the Jade talisman, shouted angrily in his heart. Ever since his Li family and Lin family turned against each other, no matter what happened, Lin Chen could always maintain a calm look. This kind of calmness is not a pretense, it's about self-confidence, the confidence in oneself to control all these situations. Lin Chen could do all this before, but he endured it. But now what he wants to summon is the legendary Supreme Elder Xiannian. You are just a 5th level mortal transformation realm? Why? Yin. Just when Li Fenchen was feeling helpless and furious, sword chants suddenly sounded in Dayan City. Sword, my sword, hiss. This breath is the sword's intention. Is this the background of Supreme Elder Xiannian? He is really too strong. I saw that as the Jade talisman shattered, a figure that looked like a sharp sword condensed in the void, triggering the movements of countless swords in Great Yan City that were either idle or carried with them. They all paid homage to the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xiannian to show their submission. Countless sword masters in the Great Yan City were shocked and were stunned for a while, but after they reacted, the old eyes looking into the void were full of enthusiasm and excitement, as if they had seen the god in their hearts. 7th level of magical power realm, 20% sword intent. Feeling the aura emanating from Supreme Elder Xiannian, Lin Chen couldn't help but use the Eye of Destiny to observe, and instantly saw through his true identity. The incarnation can only exert at most 50% of the strength of the main body. With my current combat power, I should be able to suppress it easily. If you were facing the true form of Supreme Elder Xiannian, he might not dare to jump to conclusions. After all, an old monster who has been practicing for thousands of years still understands the sword intention. Even though he has evolved his physique into an innate divine body and comprehends 50% of the sword intention, the training time is short. After all, his cultivation level is only at the 9th level of mortal realm, and his understanding of martial arts is not very deep. It is even more difficult to surpass an existence that is considered powerful even in the 7th level of the magical power realm. At the peak of the 9th level of mortal realm, there is also a sword intent that is deeper than what I understand. When Lin Chen estimated the strength gap between himself and Supreme Elder Xiannian, the latter was also observing him. However, compared to the former, Supreme Elder Xiannian felt a huge wave of emotions in his heart. His first reaction was it was not to attack Lin Chen, but to persuade him to make peace. I wonder what grudges my little friend has against my disciple's father. If it's not serious, how about giving me some face and turning the hostility into friendship? Others can't see it. Couldn't he still see it? At just 100 years old, not only has this cultivation reached the 9th level of the mortal transformation realm, but he has also understood the meaning of the sword, at least 30% above it. Such a being, not to mention in the Great Chu dynasty, but also in the dozens of surrounding dynasties and even the entire Huangzhou, is one of the best evil geniuses, and is qualified to compete for the top 10 or even the top spot on the Huangzhou prodigy list. If you can avoid making enemies, it's better not to make enemies. Silence, overwhelming silence. As soon as Elder Xiannian finished speaking, the entire Great Yan City fell silent as if the pause button had been pressed. Suddenly they couldn't understand the world. What the hell? You are the legendary Supreme Elder Xiannian. Shouldn't you appear domineering and kill the ancestor of the Lin family with one move? This will fit your personality. God turned hostility into friendship. Everyone was complaining crazily in their hearts, feeling very unreal. He has repeatedly provoked my Lin family, and now he even dares to intercept and kill my Lin family's genius. Do you think I can let him go? How about doing it once? If you win, he lives. If you lose, he dies. As the saying goes, don't hit someone with a smiling face. Lin Chen only said a few words about the attitude of Supreme Elder Xian'an. Chapter 53 A Battle in the Void shook the world. This hearing Lin Chen's words, Supreme Elder Xian'an couldn't help but feel a headache. It's not that he's afraid of fighting, but he really doesn't want to be at odds with Lin Chen. You must know that when he was young, he once left the Great Chu dynasty to experience in other realms. He also saw the battles between the geniuses on the Huangzhou prodigy list, and knew that their combat power was far stronger than their superficial cultivation. The cards in hand are endless according to his experience. The monster named Lin Chen in front of him must have a trump card in his hand that is not afraid of him or even the Yunai sect behind him, otherwise he would not be so tough. My little friend, is it really impossible to relax? If this is the case, then I can only say sorry first. Although Lin Chen was born a monster and had comprehended more than 30% of the swords will at a young age, he did not think that the former would be his opponent based on his 9th level of mortal transformation, a battle in the void. In this regard, Lin Chen didn't say much nonsense, and his figure immediately flew towards the 9 heavens. If every move of a strong person in the mortal transformation realm carries the power of heaven and earth and possesses great power, then a strong person in the supernatural power realm has developed his own magical power. Every move has magical power, which can easily break a piece of land with a radius of hundreds of miles and change the climate of a region. Therefore, any battle between magical powers will basically not stay on the earth, but will come to the sky thousands of feet high to minimize the impact. Just take care of yourself. Seeing this, Supreme Elder Xian'an glanced at Li Fengtian's dull figure with a complicated expression, left a slightly cold word, and followed him. Soon rumble in the shocked eyes of countless people, earth-shaking loud noises came from the void, like thunder. The vast power of heaven and earth became extremely violent under the interference of the two forces, causing many strange phenomena. Black clouds filled the sky, lightning flashed, and a scene like the end of the world hung over Great Yan City. In the eyes of everyone, the entire world became dim, with only 2 bright lights, one white and one gray, blooming dazzlingly in the void. Hiss, is this the power of a powerful person in the magical power realm? If this were to be fought in our Great Yan City, the entire city would probably no longer exist, right? Is this the point? Don't you think the ancestor of the Lin family is a little bit stronger than a billion? What's a little bit stronger? This is simply too strong. Tisk, tisk, tisk. The 9th level of mortal transformation can fight to such an extent with the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xian'an. Regardless of winning or losing, the strength of the ancestor of the Lin family can already suppress the territory of thousands of miles around. He can be regarded as one of the top powerhouses in our Great Chu dynasty. 1. After this battle, the entire Chu dynasty will probably be in a rage because of this. Countless people looked up at the sky. After a brief period of silence, a series of exciting discussions resounded throughout the world. No wonder they were so shocked. It was really the combat power shown by Lin Chen that was too terrifying. Before today, they had always thought that the strongest people in Dayan City were only those at the 9th level of the blood exchange realm. The result was unexpected because of the actions of the head of the Li family and actually led to a series of changes. No matter what kind of connections the Li family opened up, Lin Chen was always able to burst out with more powerful strength and crush them. Even if the supreme elder of the Yunai sect, one of the 10 major sects, was mobilized to take action, he could not take it down. All of this is really amazing. At the same time, in a main hall in the city lord's palace, the lord of Dayan City and many other powerful men looked at the terrifying vision in the sky, their faces filled with confusion, disbelief and a hint of joy. I didn't expect the strength of the Lin family ancestor to be so terrifying. Fortunately, we didn't offend the Lin family before. Yes, there is also a junior of the Lin family named Lin Ling, who is also a peerless genius. At only 15 years old, not only has his cultivation reached the 9th level of the bone forging realm, but he is also a 2nd level senior alchemist. If this spreads out, no matter what, I know how to dim the light of many of heaven's pride and become the backdrop for her rise. Damn it, if it is rumored that the Lin family is a bunch of trash except for the ancestor of the Lin family, I will definitely pick him up and chop him down. If they are all trash, then who am I? Lord City Lord, do we still need to report this matter to the county? There was a lot of cursing, and after everyone had vented their complicated emotions, suddenly, someone asked with Lin Chen's strength. He already had many needless privileges in the Chu dynasty. If they reported it like this without Lin Chen's consent, once something unexpected happens, they will be the first to suffer. The county and city have probably noticed such a big movement. The Lord of Dayan City pondered for a while, then shook his head and said, "We just need to wait quietly for the messenger from over there to arrive." The city lord is wise. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and nodded in praise. No matter what cultivation level the ancestor of the Lin family has, his combat prowess is truly demonstrated here. Such existential matters are no longer something they can interfere with, and they don't have the courage to get involved. Even if the county knew that they didn't report it, it would be understandable. On the other side, the Tang family, one of the three major families. Tang Dayan, the head of the Tang family, looked at the vision revealed in the void, and couldn't help but reveal a trace of joy on his face. Luckily my Tang family didn't immediately help the Li family, otherwise, when the Li family came to ask the Tang family to surrender, Tang Dayan had an extra thought. He said that as long as the Li family destroyed the Lin family, he would immediately lead the Tang family to surrender to the Li family. And he also made a note: this is also the reason why Li Fengchen didn't care about what happened to the Tang family and focused on dealing with the Lin family. Unexpectedly, the Li family, which has such huge connections as the Yunai sect, did not capture the Lin family. Especially this time, the strength that the ancestor of the Lin family unleashed simply exceeded his imagination. Supernatural realm? When he thought of this realm that was extremely far away for him, he couldn't help but feel dizzy, and his eyes were full of confusion. After today, Great Yan City will probably respect the Lin family. I wonder if the Great Chu dynasty will grant the territory of Dayan City and several surrounding cities to the Lin family as a fiefdom. Thinking of the Chu dynasty's practice of wooing strong men, Tang Dayan suddenly made a decision in his heart. He wanted to join the Lin family with his whole family. Even becoming a subsidiary family of the Lin family is many times better than developing alone. Right, just when all the forces were shaken by the battle between Lin Chen and Supreme Elder Xiannian high in the sky, they have fought thousands of moves. Lin Chen also quickly adapted to the fighting style between powerful people in the supernatural realm. The more he fought, the more brave he became, which shocked the Supreme Elder Xiannian. 50% sword power, special physique. I didn't expect that. I still underestimated you before. After a duel, Supreme Elder Xiannian suddenly said with complicated eyes, with such a talented person, he was already certain that Lin Chen was a legendary person with the great luck. He did not have the confidence to be an enemy of such a peerless existence that had almost grown up, let alone him. Even if the entire Yunai sect was included, one sword, as long as you take my sword, you will be clear about cause and effect. Lin Chen had already gained enough fighting experience from fighting with thousands of moves, and it would not be of much use if he continued to fight. Therefore, facing the emotion of the Supreme Elder Xiannian, he did not say much and planned to decide the outcome with one move. Chapter 54 One Sword Decides the World, Die? Chapter 54 One Sword Decides the World, Die? Okay. Hearing this, Supreme Elder Xiannian couldn't help but look at Lin Chen deeply and did not refuse. After all, his incarnation is not his true body, and the energy he carries is limited. He can't win if he continues to fight. He might as well agree to Lin Chen's conditions and take a gamble. I have a sword that can destroy stars and overturn the world, one sword to heaven and earth. At some point, a silver-white longsword appeared in Lin Chen's hand, engraved with various mysterious runes, and displayed a growth-type magical power recorded in the martial arts canon. Although his time to practice this magical power was short, but I don't know if it was because of his improved talent or the reason of practicing the martial arts. He practiced extremely easily and got into the martial arts in just a few months. It has been able to initially exert its power tear apart. As soon as Lin Chen finished speaking, an extremely sharp aura suddenly surged out from his body, instantly filing the entire world. At the same time, the spiritual energy of the world within hundreds of miles suddenly became rioting with this. The sharp breaths merged with each other, making sharp and harsh sounds. One handle, two handles, four handles in an instant. In the shocking eyes of countless creatures, almost endless long swords evolved from spiritual energy, and sword intent filled the entire void. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Under Lin Chen's control, these long swords seemed to be alive, cutting through the sky, and one after another penetrated into the long sword in his hand, evolving into a sky-reaching sword energy that was 1,000 feet in size, carrying an aura that could destroy the heaven and the earth. Zhao Xianai and Taishang Elder slashed at him. This terrifying scene made the eyes of countless onlookers reveal a trace of fear. Even though this sword was not directed at them, the momentum that spread over them made them feel as if they had fallen into an ice cave, and they were so frightened that they froze in place. What a one-sword universe! Feeling the terrifying coercion enveloped by this sky-reaching sword energy, which actually made his body feel a slight sting, Supreme Elder Xiannian couldn't help but be shocked, and his expression suddenly became serious. Without any hesitation, he unleashed the magical power for which he was famous, and unleashed the strongest sword that this incarnation could wield. Cheyenne Sword Technique. The heart moves at will, following the sword of Supreme Elder Cheyenne in an instant. There was originally a clear sky without a cloud, and suddenly snow-white clouds floated out. They turned into white sword lights, and like a flood, they hit Lin Chen's sky-reaching sword head on. Clang clang clang. When the two collided, there were clear sounds like the collision of sharp swords. The endless sword light hit the giant sword, and it was like a mantis using its arms as a chariot, being ruthlessly crushed. This caused the sword light to scatter in all directions and shoot towards the ground. No, back away. This sudden change caused countless onlookers to change their expressions and flee into the distance. Fortunately, the two were at a high altitude, and most of the energy was consumed during the collision, so the speed became very slow. Everyone responded in time. So only some people were injured and their lives were not endangered. Suffered from this change. Many of the powerful spectators in Dayan City no longer dared to stand near the void where the two were fighting to watch the battle, and stayed far away. Tisk, tisk, tisk. When we first met, I felt that your ancestor of the Lin family was extraordinary and knew that he was not as simple as he seemed. I didn't expect that he was so extraordinary. If this spreads about the fighting power of the 9th level of the mortal realm and the 7th level of the divine power realm, it will probably cause an uproar in the Dongshan continent. I don't know how many powerful people will come to admire it, let alone how many proud men of heaven will come to challenge, and even Dongshan, your ancestors of the Lin family, will have a place on the mainland's list of geniuses. Now that the world is shocked by the monster, I wonder what kind of storm it will cause in Dongshan continent? Can it be possible? When Lin Chen slashed out this sword, Lin Ling, who had seen everything from beginning to end, couldn't help but hear Xiao Jia's extremely amazed voice in his ears. This kind of talent is truly peerless. Even when she was young, she was not as good as before. She was once among the top 20 geniuses on the Dongshan continent's prodigy list, which made her feel ashamed. There are only those peerless monsters who are ranked in the top 10, or even the top 3. Almost all of those top 10 peerless monsters have divine bodies. They were trained by the top forces in the Dongshan continent since childhood, so they can have such a foundation. But you, without the support of a strong background, are able to reach this point. One step. What's the reason? Is it simply because your talent is terrifying, comparable to the geniuses of those large continents, or is it because you have obtained that inheritance? At this moment, Xiao Jia couldn't help but feel the urge to find out what happened to Lin Chen. If it's the former, it goes without saying in the future, he will at least be one of the top powerhouses in the Dongshan continent. He has great hope of stepping into a level above the Nirvana realm, creating a holy land, and commanding the entire continent if the latter one. Although there are opportunities to do these things, the journey will definitely arouse the covetousness of many forces and the road will be bumpy. Rumbled just when Xiao Jia was having complicated thoughts, suddenly, a earth-shaking explosion sounded in the air, causing her to look up. Suddenly I saw Lin Chen being crushed by the sky-reaching sword energy. The Cheyenne sword technique displayed by Supreme Elder Cheyenne, and the endless white sword light evolved, only blocked 3 breaths of time before he was suddenly defeated. Then, this sky-reaching sword energy continued unabated and struck the Supreme Elder Cheyenne forcefully. Even though he used various means to defend, he still couldn't resist it. He was cut down by the sky-reaching sword energy and fell to the ground, forming a huge crater. The terrifying sword intent subsequently shattered the vitality of the incarnation of Supreme Elder Cheyenne, causing it to dissipate in place. Is this how Supreme Elder Cheyenne was defeated? Seeing this scene, countless people who were paying attention to the scene were completely stunned. Their mouths opened in an O shape involuntarily, and their hearts were extremely shocked. This is the Supreme Elder Cheyenne of Yunai sect. Why did it fail like this, and he still lost at the hands of Lin Chen, who was only at the 9th level of mortal realm? For a moment, a trace of confusion flashed through everyone's eyes. They found that the world seemed to have become a lot stranger. Just when everyone's thoughts were swirling and their moods were extremely complicated, a scream suddenly sounded in their ears. It startled them. Turning around and looking around, he suddenly discovered that the place where Li Fengchen had been standing had turned into a pothole. Only the picture of being turned into a bowl of minced meat explained to everyone what had just happened. Thank you to Book Friends, the monthly pass to become a book king in 10 years. Thanks to Book Friends, a monthly ticket for the rapid passage of time. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Harvest, coming to Cheyenne County. The Li family was destroyed after Lin Chen slapped Li Fengchen to death. Lin Wuti led a group of strong men from the Lin family and began to surround and kill the strong men from the Li family. It didn't take much effort, but everyone in the Li family, including the ancestor who was at the 7th level of the blood-changing realm, was in full view of the crowd. The Li family, which has been passed down for hundreds of years, has no other members except Li Xianggang, who lives far away in the Yunaiyu sect Lin family. In a large hall, Lin Wuti and other senior officials of the Lin family were looking enthusiastically at Lin Chen, who was standing by the window with his hands behind his back and looking into the distance, with his back to him. And reported on the gains and losses this time. Ancestor, this time we captured it from the Li family. Okay, there is no need to report these things to me in detail. You just need to follow family rules and comfort the injured and sacrificed clan members. Also, for the treasures plundered from the Li family this time, all Lin family members will share 30% of them based on their cultivation and contribution, and the rest will be placed in the family treasure pavilion for the clan members to redeem with their family contribution points. After listening to the rough data reported by Lin Wuti, Lin Chen waved his hand and interrupted him. Yes, ancestor. Lin Wuti and others couldn't help but feel happy when they heard this, and they quickly thanked them. The loss of 30% of the Li family's resources was enough to increase the overall strength of the Lin family by a large margin in a short period of time. This is a great thing, but after the joy, Lin Wuti couldn't help but think of the identities of Wang Xiangxi and others, and couldn't help but said hesitantly, Ancestor, over there with the Wang family. As for the Wang family, you don't have to worry. Since they dare to attack me, the descendants of the Lin family, they will cease to exist after today. It's just a pity that the Wang family's properties and territory are there. Hearing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but glance at Lin Wuti and others, with a hint of disappointment in his words. After saying that, without waiting for their reaction, he flashed and turned into a stream of light and flew towards the direction of Xiangxin County. Just when Lin Wuti was reporting his harvest, the system's mechanical and cold prompt sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host for destroying the hostile Li family, successfully devouring luck, and harvesting 21,321 luck points. Congratulations to the host family for expanding its control and receiving a reward of 6,666 luck points. Warm reminder, the luck points obtained from the control area of power can be rewarded once a year, nearly 30,000 luck points, although not much. But considering that the Li family's comprehensive strength was not very good, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel relieved. However, when he thought of the Wang family in Xiangxin County, he couldn't help but feel a little distressed. If the Lin family is strong enough to take over the Wang family's territory and industry, how many luck points will he receive as a reward? Maybe the luck points gained in 1 or 2 years are not as good as the luck points gained in one go by destroying the Wang family, but what if it is calculated over 5 years, 10 years, or 100 years? That's why he pretended to be disappointed when he heard Lin Wuti mention the Wang family. As the saying goes, only when there is pressure will there be motivation. Everyone, our Lin family is already a great blessing to have such a powerful person like our ancestors sitting in charge. It's too late for others to envy us. If we can't take advantage of the convenience brought by our ancestor and grow up quickly, how can we be qualified to serve as the leader of the Lin family, a high-level position? What will others think of us? It doesn't matter if our own reputation is ruined, but if our ancestor's reputation is tarnished, we will be the sinners of the family. In the future, he will be hung on the family's pillar of shame and will be infamy for thousands of years. Our Lin family, if we want to become the top family of the Chu dynasty, we cannot rely on our ancestors alone. So, whether it's for ourselves or to live up to the favorable conditions created by our ancestors, we must work harder. Seeing his ancestor disappearing from sight, Lin Wuti, who had been silent for a long time before coming back to his senses, couldn't help but turn around and shout loudly to many senior members of the Lin family on the side. With a look of determination on his face, strange eyes, infamy for eternity, hard work, Lin Wuti's voice formed a picture in the minds of many senior officials. Everyone's expressions couldn't help but change again and again. In the end, a heart that wanted to become stronger beat strongly and powerfully in their chests. Boom, boom, boom. Get stronger, get stronger, get stronger. Many senior members of the Lin family couldn't help but shout in their hearts. In the world of Zhenwu, who doesn't want to become a truly strong man? Think, almost everyone does. However, due to various factors that restricted their path to becoming stronger, they had to stay at a certain stage and struggle until the end of their lives. The senior leaders of the Lin family are naturally no exception. It was just that many years ago, when they worked hard to practice and the rewards they received were not proportional to their efforts, and could even be said to be pitiful. They gradually lost a motivation to practice, but now, with sufficient training resources, what reason do they have to continue to idle fish? Thinking of this, after many senior members of the Lin family finished handling the matters at hand, they exchanged the cultivation resources they needed in the family treasure pavilion and began to take turns to practice in seclusion. As for Lin Ling, thanks to the large supply of elixirs purchased by the Lin family after seizing all the resources of the Li family, both her alchemy skills and her cultivation level began to improve by leaps and bounds. In the past, if the Lin family wanted to purchase third-grade elixirs, even if they had spiritual stones in hand, they could not purchase more than a few in a day. But now, since the strong men of the Lin family have spread rumors about purchasing elixirs, there was a steady stream of strong men coming from major cities and offering third and even fourth grade elixirs for the Lin family to choose from. Some powerful people even want to give it away for free. However, the senior management of the Lin family did not agree with the latter. Instead, they used market prices to purchase these elixirs. Although these forces regretted this, they were not dissatisfied. However, after learning about the situation of the Lin family, there were many young unmarried women in Dayan City, and they met the children of the Lin family on the street. Even the powerful people in the blood exchange realm, who are usually rare to see, can be encountered from time to time. It can be said that not only the Lin family is prosperous, but the quality of practitioners in Dayan City is also constantly improving. The attraction brought by a strong man is so terrifying, and just when the Lin family continued to get better, on the other side, in the sky over Shiangxin County, tens of thousands of miles away from Dayan City, Lin Chen's figure appeared here at some unknown time. His eyes were indifferent, and he casually glanced at the Wang family without any nonsense. A huge stream of water, like the river water falling from the Jiushan galaxy, with an indomitable and terrifying momentum, instantly broke through the Shiangxin County's city defense formation and was about to descend on the Wang family. At this moment, being alarmed by the sudden change, several powerful men with magical powers who were stationed in Shiangxin County suddenly appeared in the void and bowed their hands to Lin Chen very politely. Which Taoist friend comes to my Shiangxin County? Please restrain your momentum and let me wait for you to fulfill the friendship of the landlord. Even though the people in front of them were only at the 9th level of mortal transformation realm, their aura already made them feel a hint of danger. They couldn't help but be careless. Chapter 56 Shock. They actually did such a thing. This visit to Shiangxin County is only for the Wang family. Lin Chen glanced at these powerful people in the magical realm, and looked at their figures that did not move at all, and couldn't help but look cold. Get out of the way. As he spoke, he used the foundation brought by the martial arts code and erupted with a terrifying momentum comparable to the magical power realm. Take a step forward. Seeing this scene, the expressions of these powerful men in the supernatural realm could not help but change, but they still did not retreat. After all, as the leader of Shiangxin County, it would be a big loss if he just retreated in front of everyone. I said, get out of the way. Looking at the expressions of these powerful men in the supernatural realm, Lin Chen knew what they were thinking, and immediately started to activate the information carried by the innate divine body rumble. The 3rd level of the magical power realm, the 4th level of the magical power realm. Almost in the blink of an eye, Lin Chen's body erupted with a terrifying aura that was comparable to the 5th level of the magical power realm, causing the expressions of several powerful magical power realms that vaguely surrounded him to change. Not daring to hesitate at all, they all gave way to the road behind them. The strongest among them is only at the 5th level of the magical power realm. For the sake of the so-called face of the Wang family, they offend a peerless strong man with a promising future. They are so smart that they would do this. Seeing this, Lin Chen restrained his momentum. After all, these powerful people in the magical power realm are either the ancestors of the top families in Shiangxin County or members of the royal family of the Great Chu dynasty. The former status is not important, but the latter still needs to be given some face. Rumble. Without the strong men in the magical power realm from Shiangxin County to block him, Lin Chen's figure suddenly appeared in the sky above the Wang family. Your Majesty, if our Wang family does anything wrong that offends you, on behalf of the Wang family, I am willing to compensate you for all losses, even if it means bankrupting your family and property. Please calm down, calm down. At the moment when Lin Chen's figure was revealed above the Wang family, a middle-aged man rolled out of a hall and crawled out, his head tremblingly lowered, and his posture was very humble. I can't do it without bowing my head. You must know that the strongest one in the Wang family is only at the 7th level of mortal realm, and his combat power at this level can only be considered average. For Lin Chen, who can exert his magical power level, it is not worth mentioning at all. If you do something wrong and apologizing is useful, then what do I need to cultivate myself for? Lin Chen would not change his determination to destroy the Wang family just because of their confession originally. There was no enmity between the Lin family and the Wang family. It was the Wang family who took the initiative to get involved in the grudges between the Li family and the Lin family. If the Lin family had not been in charge, they would have disappeared from this world long ago under the joint efforts of the Wang family and the Li family. How could he let go of such a big hatred, whether it was to give himself a clear idea, or to give an explanation to those clan members who shed blood, sacrificed their lives for the Lin family? The Wang family was destined to be destroyed today. Death. Thinking of this, Lin Chen couldn't help but have a strong murderous intention flash in his eyes, and without any hesitation, he burst out with a sword intention that he had already comprehended 50%. Driven by the sword intention, the endless spiritual energy manifested into a long sword that exuded cold light. Then, with the horrified eyes of countless people, he began to shuttle within the Wang family. Wherever the long sword passed, no one could reach it, and no one could stop it. The auras that originally exuded a strong vitality disappeared in the eyes of many strong men. In induction just a quarter of an hour, except for Lin Chen, who stood at the top of a large hall, there was no trace of life in the entire Wang family. Take it. Stretching out his right hand, Lin Chen's heart moved, and he immediately pocketed all the storage bags and storage rings of the fallen strong men of the Wang family that were useful to the Lin family. Then, he glanced at the surrounding strong men with a calm expression. Without saying anything more, he turned around and disappeared in an instant. It wasn't until a while later that they recovered from the fact that the Wang family was destroyed, and an uproar immediately started. Gudong. What kind of immortal has the Wang family offended? The 9th level of the mortal realm has the combat power of the 5th level of the supernatural power level, and it has also comprehended at least 30% of the sword intent. As a human being, you should keep a low profile. It's strange. I've looked through the entire list of geniuses in the deserted state and haven't found anyone who matches the strong man just now. Could it be that he comes from another big state? No matter where he comes from, I will warn those bastards to keep a low profile when I go back. I don't know if that powerful man will take over the Wang family's property. If not, then, after the shock, some forces looked at Lin Chen's leaving figure, then looked at the messy Wang family, and their minds suddenly became active. Although the Wang family's heritage was taken away by him, the Wang family's property in Shiangxin County was still a big piece of fat. If they could take the opportunity to plunder part of it, it would be a great opportunity for them. Not only these forces, but also the few powerful people in the supernatural realm who had previously stepped forward to stop Lin Chen, saw this, and similar thoughts flashed through their hearts. However, just when they wanted to signal their men to take action and carve up the Wang family's property, the sound of rapid footsteps suddenly came. Report. The latest information, over there in Dayan City, as several people's men reported the news about what happened in Dayan City to their ancestors, the expressions of these powerful people in the supernatural realm changed again and again. When they finally heard about the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xiannian, they were all defeated. After hearing the news in Lin Chen's hands, they couldn't help but feel a sense of joy in their hearts. Others may not know the terror of Supreme Elder Xiannian as the geniuses of their generation. They knew everything about it in their generation, in the entire Great Chu dynasty, and even in several surrounding dynasties. Supreme Elder Xiannian was an invincible being at the same level, even though Lin Chen defeated just one of his incarnations. But even the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xiannian also possesses the terrifying strength of the 7th level of supernatural power realm, the combat power of the 9th level of mortal transformation realm, and the 7th level of supernatural power realm. When they thought of Lin Chen's cultivation, they suddenly felt dry. This kind of combat power has exceeded their imagination. No, we can't occupy the Wang family's properties. Otherwise, when the Lin family develops, if that person comes up with this excuse to attack us, it will be over. Yes, you must not be greedy for this resource. This ancestor of the Lin family is only a mere 100 years old. Compared with the 2,000 years of life of a person with a cultivation level of the 9th level of transformation, he is too young. His future is definitely not something we can speculate on. Not only can we not covet the Wang families, we need to dispatch the best management personnel to take care of the property and wait for the Lin family to take over, so that we may be able to form a good relationship. Agree. As the top experts in Shiangxin County reached an agreement, what happened next was naturally without any surprises. Even Lin Chen himself didn't know because of his performance in Dayan City. He actually frightened these powerful people in the magical realm in Shiangxin County to make such outrageous decisions. Ahem. I want to add more updates. Can you give me a chance? Chapter 57 Digestion Harvest. Sword cultivation Holy Land? Meanwhile, on the other side, as soon as Lin Chen left Dayan County's sphere of influence, the system's mechanical and cold prompt came in his mind. Congratulations to the host for destroying the hostile Wang family, successfully devouring luck, and harvesting 183,121 luck points. 180,000. The system prompts caused Lin Chen's rapidly flying figure to stagnate slightly. The destruction of the Li family allowed him to gain nearly 30,000 luck points. Together with the 180,000 obtained from the Wang family, Lin Chen's luck point balance exceeded the 200,000 mark for the first time. With the foundation of the Wang family and the Li family, our Lin family will not lack cultivation resources in at least 50 years. In addition to leaving some of these luck points for emergencies, the rest should be converted into strength. After feeling happy, Lin Chen thought about his current situation and secretly planned the combat prowess of the 9th level Mortal Transformation Realm and the 7th level Divine Power Realm, who are less than 100 years old, will definitely arouse the curiosity of many powerful people in the Chu dynasty and even the surrounding dynasties. They may not necessarily do what they will do to them, but Lin Chen had no interest in leaving his fate in the hands of others. He just as himself, judging from the background of the Chu dynasty and many surrounding dynasties. As long as he breaks through to the magical realm, he will have the power to protect himself. With my current qualifications of the innate divine body and the mysteries of martial arts, it is not difficult to break through to the magical realm, not to mention the assistance of luck points. With hundreds of thousands of luck points, I don't know how high my cultivation level can be raised to the level of magical power. When he thought of this, Lin Chen's eyes couldn't help but reveal a trace of expectation at the 9th level of the Mortal Transformation Realm. He has the combat power of the 7th level of the Divine Power Realm. Once he breaks through to the Magical Power Realm and masters the power of magical powers, he can almost immediately obtain terrifying combat power comparable to the 9th level of the Magical Power Realm. If he can cultivate to the 2nd or even 3rd level of the Magical Power Realm, look at the entire Chu dynasty and even several surrounding dynasties. The king of the True Spirit Realm cannot emerge, and he is almost invincible. This is not Lin Chen's boast, but the Chu dynasty and the surrounding dynasties are too small compared to Huangzi. The geniuses bred there, both in quality and quantity, are far inferior to those in the bustling territories of the barren state. For example, the supreme elder Xian'an, who once dominated the younger generation of the Chu dynasty, now nearly 2,000 years old, his cultivation is only at the peak of the 7th level of the Magical Power Realm. And his combat power is comparable to the average 8th level of the Magical Power Realm. It can be foreseen that after he reaches the 9th level of the Magical Power Realm, his combat power will at best be better than those of the same realm, but he will not be able to form a crushing advantage under such circumstances. It is not surprising that Lin Chen has this confidence. Lin Chen was very fast. In less than a quarter of an hour, he rushed back to Dayan City from Dayan County. At this time, Lin Wudi and others were still dealing with some matters that occurred after the fall of the Li family. He didn't disturb anyone. Instead, he personally collected treasures from the Wang family that were suitable for the current cultivation level of the clan and sealed them in the family treasure pavilion for everyone to redeem with family contribution points. He dove into the secret room where he usually retreated. System: upgrade the 5th grade spiritual formation in the secret room to the 6th grade, and then exchange it for an enlightenment futon. Congratulations to the host for successful redemption. A total of 99,999 luck points were consumed. As soon as Lin Chen finished speaking, the mechanical and cold voice of the system sounded in his mind immediately afterwards. This secret room, which appeared to be only a few hundred square meters, suddenly expanded to tens of thousands of square meters in size. The mysterious patterns on the walls also emitted a faint fluorescent light and became more complicated. Ho-ho-ho, a sound like a roaring wind sounded in the secret room. The spiritual energy concentration, which had become much thinner as the area expanded, suddenly began to skyrocket crazily. 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. With the help of the spirit-absorbing formation, in a short while, the concentration of spiritual energy in the secret room increased to 50 times that of the outside world, and then slowly stopped at the same time. A lavender futon appeared at Lin Chen's feet out of thin air. A faint Taoist charm surrounded the secret room. Under normal circumstances, even if I have an innate divine body and want to break through to the realm of magical power, it will take several years of accumulation. However, with the help of the 6th grade spiritual formation and the enlightenment futon, this time can be greatly shortened. Feeling that the cultivation environment was more than 10 times better than before, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel happy. Without any further delay, He immediately sat cross-legged and began to experience it. Ho as Lin Chen began to practice, the rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the secret room seemed to have found an outlet and began to head back towards him crazily. No matter how much spiritual energy comes to him, Lin Chen, who possesses the two terrifying foundations of the innate divine body and the martial art, will not reject anyone who comes. And he will use his skills to swallow them into his body, begin to continuously compress and purify the magic power in the body, hoping to transform it into magical power as soon as possible. At the same time, the enlightenment food on he was sitting on also exuded mysterious Taoist charms, constantly pouring into his body. For a time, Lin Chen's understanding of the realm of skin refining and metamorphosis began to deepen, and a mysterious aura loomed in his body just like this, during Lin Chen's time of retreat and practice in the blink of an eye. More than half a month has passed. The news about Lin Chen fighting against the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xiannian in Dayan City and destroying the royal family of Xiangxin County has spread throughout the Great Chu dynasty, from the nobles of the aristocratic families to the common people of Li. Everyone is aware of Lin Chen's reputation. It can be said that if you pick up anyone on the street, they will be able to chat a few words about some of Lin Chen's deeds as Lin Chen's strength was exposed. Dayan City attracted much attention, especially the place where Lin Chen fought with Supreme Elder Xiannian has become a holy place in the minds of countless sword cultivators. The reason is simple: because Lin Chen's shocking sword carried 50% of his sword intent. After defeating Supreme Elder Xiannian, the remaining sword intent clung to the edge of the deep pit and stayed there for a long time, attracting many sword cultivators to watch. Among them, many bold sword practitioners began to try to understand the sword intention contained in it in full view of the public. At first, most practitioners couldn't help but sneer at this, thinking that they were being fanciful. Unexpectedly, after several days of waiting, among the practitioners who tried to understand the sword's meaning, there was actually a middle-aged man at the third level of mortal realm who realized something from it. Not only did he break through the bottleneck that had troubled him for many years, he broke through from the original 90% perfect sword power to the rudimentary state of sword intention. He also took this opportunity to upgrade his cultivation to the fourth level of the mortal realm in one fell swoop, directly detonating the whole place. Countless powerful people who had not originally planned to join in the fun began to try to understand. As the news spread, swordsman practitioners throughout the Chu dynasty took notice and rushed to Dayan City. At the same time, many powerful chambers of commerce and auction houses also moved into Dayan City. Suddenly, the number of strong men in Dayan City began to increase sharply thanks to the book friend, a reward of 500 starting coins for a pure man thanks to the book friend. 202105300115467991 for the 100 starting coin reward thanks to the book friend. 2023071919100232 for the 100 starting coin reward thanks to book friends. Get used to one person's monthly pass thanks to book friends. I am the king under the galaxy monthly pass. PS, a total of 10 rewards plus one more chapter, completed. Chapter 58 Huaxun Palace. Even so, sword intent is not that easy to comprehend. It itself is the residual energy left by Lin Chen's enemy, full of lethality. If you want to comprehend it, you must be able to withstand the backlash it brings. Ordinary practitioners are not even qualified to comprehend it. A person with a cultivation level above the first level of the blood exchange realm can comprehend more than 50% of the sword power. This is the hard truth that many cultivators who do not believe in evil have tried at the cost of blood. They are also the two necessary conditions for understanding the remaining sword intent. Of course, if you are talented enough or have great luck to protect yourself, you can ignore these conditions and forcibly understand the sword intention here. I didn't expect that a mere place with remaining sword intent could attract so many strong men. Now in this big pit, there are probably no less than a few strong men above the Thousand Lords Blood Exchange realm who have gained enlightenment in it. Right, a strong person in the Thousand Blood Exchange realm is not the limit of the Great Chu dynasty, but the limit of this big pit. Hey, we are still late. If we had come earlier, we would have already entered and started to meditate. Many casual cultivators who were far away from Dayan City and who had received the news relatively late, or who brought their juniors who practiced swordsmanship, came to Dayan City and saw the situation on the scene. They couldn't help but shake their heads and sigh. Although their strength is stronger than most of the cultivators who have comprehended the sword intention in the big pit, but this is Great Yan City, and with the ancestors of the Lin family sitting in charge, they don't dare to be presumptuous. After all, it would be very good if people can tacitly allow them to enter this place where the sword intention is left to study. If something happens again, not to mention whether they have the strength to withstand the wrath of the ancestor of the Lin family, It is said that this land of opportunity to comprehend the sword's intention will definitely be gone. This is what they don't want to see. Therefore, all practitioners who come to this place to comprehend the sword's meaning consciously abide by the rules and queue up in a long line. Puff! Just when many powerful people were talking about it, suddenly, a sound of vomiting blood rang in their ears, and then an embarrassed figure jumped out of the hole, staggering into the crowd, with a look on his face. Pale, with traces of sword intent on his body, it was obvious that this cultivator's failure to comprehend the sword's intention suffered backlash in this regard. Except for some strong men who had just arrived here, everyone was already accustomed to it, and even some people in the front of the row had a look of nervousness and excitement on their faces. After all, those who can enter and comprehend the sword's meaning are not weak. If someone is eliminated, it means that most of the cultivators inside have reached a limit. Sure enough, not long after, they heard another strange movement in their ears, and then it was like a domino effect, and cultivators who failed to comprehend appeared one after another. Damn it, it was just that close. If my cultivation had been stronger, why would I have failed in enlightenment? Some were relatively young and collapsed on the ground, saying very unwillingly, although their faces were a little pale. They were undoubtedly much better than those who were eliminated first. However, because he was relatively young, his background was inevitably somewhat lacking, so he did not gain any insights from it. Instead, he suffered the backlash from the remaining sword intent. This made them, who were already somewhat arrogant, inevitably feel a little disappointed. Okay, you have done a very good job. If the sword intention is so easy to comprehend, our Chu dynasty will not only have a few strong men mastering this power. At this moment, a white dress covering her body, revealing her beautiful figure with concave and convex figures, appeared not far from them. Looking at the unconvinced look of these people, she couldn't help but wrinkle slightly. He frowned and continued talking. Digest carefully what you have learned this time. If you have some insights, the palace will give you a helping hand. By then, you may not be able to comprehend a trace of the mystery of the sword intention before the remaining sword intention disappears. It is not impossible for people who have experienced enlightenment to experience it again, but if you fail, you will be hit by the sword's will, which will take a lot of time to cultivate. Of course, if you have a deep family, you can also use various treasures to recover your injuries, and then do it again. Thank you very much, Princess. Upon hearing Chu Siding's words, a hint of joy suddenly flashed on the faces of these young and powerful men, and they quickly thanked them. Although they are members of the Huaxun Palace, their status is far inferior to that of the princess, and they have to rely on their own efforts to obtain many resources. Naturally, there are not enough treasures to restore the injuries in the body, but with Chu Siding's words, as long as they can get some insights from this understanding, they can get funding from the palace. And maybe they can also understand the mystery of this remaining sword intention. This will lay a solid foundation for him to fully understand the meaning of the sword in the future. As expected of the Huaxun Prince's mansion, it is rich and powerful. Hey, it's hard for us casual cultivators. We didn't understand anything the first time, and we probably won't have the chance in the future. Yes, although the sword intention left here is not as good as 1% of the real sword intention, its counterattack force is not something that we casual cultivators in the blood exchange realm can resist. With their background, it will take at least a long time to recover. In the next 3 to 5 months, by then, the remaining sword intent here will have been exhausted by the enlightenment of so many fellow Taoists. It would be great if the sword intent here wouldn't dissipate. In the crowd, many strong casual cultivators looked at the promise Chu Siding gave to everyone in the palace. They felt envious in their hearts. At the same time, looking at the large pit that exuded a faint sword intent, an unrealistic thought flashed through their minds. However, they also know this is impossible. If these remaining sword intentions were not consumed by so many people, they might be able to last for a few more years. But in this case, if they are not replenished by strong men who have also understood 50% of the sword intentions, it will take at most a few months, will dissipate. Huh? Don't think too much. It's great to have such a free opportunity for us to gain enlightenment. Let's cherish it now. Thinking of this, these strong casual cultivators didn't think much about it while queuing. I didn't mind that the ground was dirty, so I sat cross-legged and began to appreciate the power of artistic conception escaping from the big pit to the outside world. No matter whether it has any effect or not, it is always right to try to understand it more. I don't know what my father is doing. Before he returned to Huaxun Palace, he asked me to lead the younger generation in the palace to come to Great Yan City. Is it because of the Lin family? But it's not right. In my current situation, I still have 3 months to live at most. With my father's love for me, it is impossible for me to still work at this time, unless when she thought of this, a trace of expectation flashed in Chu Siding's eyes thanks to book friends, 2 monthly passes of Wushuang Kingdom thanks to book friends, and Xiang Old Man's monthly pass. Chapter 59 Transaction? Due to her physical condition, she would not live past 30 in this case. Her father asked her to lead the team to the Great Yan City to wait for his arrival based on the above reasons. Does that mean that the ancestor of the Lin family has a treasure or method to solve her physical problem? Yes, it's probably what I imagined. The ancestor of the Lin family was able to become one of the top combat forces of our Great Chu dynasty in just 100 years without any background. His inheritance, and in some respects, even our Great Chu dynasty may not be able to match it. In this case, it is not surprising that there are means to solve my physical shortcomings. It's just, how did father know? Thinking of this, Chu Siding couldn't help but have a flash of doubt in her heart. However, she didn't dwell on it for long anyway. She had long been prepared for death, and no matter how things developed, it would not be worse than this. But despite this, Chu Siding still had some expectations in her heart. After all, being alive is better than being dead, right? And just when everyone was making waves because of the remaining sword intent in Dayan City more than 100,000 miles away, there was an extremely majestic city, comparable to the king of Chu's city in a large country. In Lin Chen's previous life, a middle-aged man who was somewhat similar to Chu Siding was walking side by side on the avenue in the palace with a majestic man wearing a yellow robe, whose brows inadvertently revealed a hint of domineering and noble aura. Uncle Wang, is it worth it for you to do this? You know, that is your luck for thousands of years after the Huaxun Palace. I don't know how much time passed. But the majestic man broke the silence first and asked with a complicated look on his face. He really didn't expect that his Uncle Wang would be so impulsive that he actually sacrificed the fortune of the Huaxun Palace for the next 1,000 years, just to get a solution to Chu Siding's physical problem from the king of Chu's mirror. You know, that is a palace's luck for 1,000 years. Without these good fortunes, not only will Huaxun Palace not be able to obtain any great opportunities in the next 1,000 years, but even the qualifications of the newly born tribesmen during this period will be greatly affected. In addition, the risk of breakthroughs for existing tribesmen will also increase, and the speed of cultivation will also be reduced to a certain extent. Perhaps these consequences will not have much impact in a short period of time, but what he sacrificed was 1,000 years of luck. If things go on for a long time, the comprehensive strength of the Huaxun Palace will definitely be greatly reduced. After 1,000 years, the powerful people in the palace will probably have gaps for one of the top forces. This is definitely a fundamental loss, and the price is too high. It's worth it. Of course it's worth it. Didn't I already get clues to solve the hidden dangers of Tinger's physical condition from the king of Chu's mirror? As long as you can survive the catastrophe of the giant spirit bodies 30 years old, you will be guaranteed to be a powerful person in the magical power realm in the future, and it will also be the top level of magical power. If you can get the opportunity, you can upgrade the giant spirit body to the level of a treasure body. Then not only our Huaxun Palace, but also the Great Chu dynasty will benefit from this. Faced with a majestic man's doubts, King Huaxun couldn't help but reveal a faint smile on his face. In fact, he was very hesitant when sacrificing the 1,000-year fortune of Huaxun Palace because he was afraid that he would not be able to get the answer he wanted from King Chu Jianli. But as Chu Siding gets closer and closer to her 30th birthday, whether it was out of a father's responsibility or for the future of the Huaxun Palace and even the Great Chu dynasty, he really wouldn't be willing to take a gamble. Fortunately, he was right. After sacrificing the fortune of the palace for nearly 1,000 years, he finally got a glimpse of the secret from the king of Chu's mirror. Only 3 words: Dayan City. At first he was very confused. Dayan City, it's just a small, low-level city. How could it possibly have a great opportunity to make up for the shortcomings of the extremely yin spirit body? However, before he could wonder for a long time, news about Lin Chen's battle with the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xiannian reached his ears, which made him feel refreshed. The target was immediately set on Lin Chen. Having said that, the treasure that wants to solve the shortcomings of the giant spirit body is so precious, just in case that's why I didn't leave the royal capital immediately. Your Majesty should know what I mean. Hearing this, King Huaxun's expression did not change, and he stared at King Chu with bright eyes as the prince who guards one side. King Huaxun's cultivation is not weak, and he has reached the 6th level of the magical power realm. Although its combat power is stronger than those of the same realm, it is still extremely limited and cannot fight beyond the level facing Lin Chen, who had the strength to defeat the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xiannian. He really had no confidence. Uncle Wang, Do you know what you are doing? The 9th level of mortal transformation has the combat power of the 7th level of supernatural power. How amazing is this genius? Even if you look at the entire Huangzhou, he is one of the best. Such a peerless person is almost 100% a legendary lucky person. With my greatness with the Chu dynasty's heritage, forcing him to do so would be counterproductive. If one person is not good enough, do you know that the entire Chu dynasty will be destroyed in one day? King Huaxun's words made King Chu frown, and he asked loudly, regardless of the friendship between uncle and nephew, to offend a peerless strong man who has grown up for the sake of a giant spirit body that is not yet known whether it can grow up. No matter how you look at this operation, it is crazy in the eyes of the King of Chu. After all, a peerless evildoer with great luck has revealed his combat power at the 7th level of the supernatural power realm, but secretly he has many trump cards. With a background of their great Chu dynasty, it would be almost impossible to win him down. Something impossible? Your Majesty wrongly blamed me. Hearing this, King Huaxun couldn't help but smile bitterly. Why didn't he understand this truth? What I mean is that I want His Majesty to issue a decree to open up the dynasty's details so that I can select some decent treasures. Are you going to trade with it? King Chu nodded and his expression softened. As long as you don't want to attack Lin Chen, the rest is harmless. It's just that this treasure. Thinking of this, King Chu couldn't help but hesitate. Those decent treasures mentioned by King Huaxun are naturally the treasures left behind by the ancestors of the true spirit realm of their great Chu dynasty. Each one of them can make the strong ones in the magical power realm crazy. Most of the treasures of this level have been consumed after tens of thousands of years of development by the Chu dynasty. The remaining quantity does not exceed the number of 10 normally. Taking away one item would make the King of Chu feel distressed for a long time. If you were to take away several items at once, if someone from the dynasty found out about his background, they would definitely scold him as a prodigal. Uncle Wang has already sacrificed the palace's fortune for thousands of years. It would be too unkind for me to be reluctant to part with a few treasures. How about this? I asked the third ancestor to let him take these treasures and go to Dayan City with you. So, very good. In this regard, King Huaxun, who understood that King Chu was still worried about him, naturally had no objections and immediately agreed. Thanks to book friends 20220516072126488 for their monthly votes. Chapter 62nd Level of Divine Power Realm, Chu's Honggang. Now that he had made his decision, King Chu did not delay. He quickly took King Huaxun to handle all the matters and invited out the most important figures from the Chu dynasty. Chu Jingshan, the cultivation level of the 9th level of magical power, is one of the top combat powers of the Chu royal family and described in detail what happened during this period. The combat power of the 9th level of mortal transformation at the age of 100, and the 7th level of supernatural power level? I didn't expect that. I had been in seclusion for many years, and the Chu dynasty would actually give birth to such a peerless figure. It is really a good thing. After listening to Huaxun King's explanation of the causes and consequences, Chu Jingshan's originally expressionless expression gradually changed. Especially after hearing Lin Chen's shocking combat power, he couldn't help but show a hint of shock on his face. When he was young, he left the great Chu dynasty and went to the prosperous areas of Huangzhou to gain experience, and he had never heard of any prodigy with such a proud record. This is a monster-level existence that surpasses all the geniuses in Huangzhou. As such an idea came into Chu Jingshan's mind, he couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. You must know that many of the geniuses of the same era as him have become powerful true spirit realm experts in the wilderness, with 10,000 years of life. Some of the top geniuses have even become titled king-level beings. Nirvana is expected. Comparing this, does that mean that as long as Lin Chen does not die, breaking through to a level above the Nirvana realm has become an inevitable result? Nirvana. This is the existence that stands at the top of the pyramid of Dongshan continent. The great Chu dynasty is not worth mentioning in front of such powerful people, and there is no need for him to take action personally. As long as he shows the slightest dissatisfaction, countless powerful people will instantly defeat the great Chu dynasty in order to please such existences. The dynasty was destroyed 100 times. Be on good terms? Must be on good terms? When we go to Dayan City this time, no matter whether Lin Chen agrees to trade with us or not, we will deliver these treasures to the Lin family. No, this is not enough. You go and prepare a decree to make the head of the Lin family a Marcus and make the big brother a Marcus. Yancheng and the 10 surrounding cities were all given to the Lin family as fiefdoms. Chu Jingshan was also decisive and issued his order to the king of Chu on the side. Without much hesitation, the current king of Chu, Chu Shuang, couldn't help but be slightly startled. Send treasures. Make a Marcus. He had also thought about this idea, but he didn't think it was anything. After all, Lin Chen's exposed potential was enough for the Chu dynasty to do this. However, Chu Shang couldn't accept the title of Prince of the head of the Lin family, who only had the cultivation level of blood exchange, ancestor. Why don't we just grant the title of Marcus to the ancestor of the Lin family? After hesitating for a moment, Chu Shang couldn't help but ask the doubts in his heart. Granting a title to a family head who is in the blood exchange realm will definitely cause dissatisfaction among other princes if word spreads about it, and may even make people from the surrounding dynasties laugh at him. This is something he doesn't want to see, haha. Do you think a mere Chu dynasty is qualified to grant him a title? Chu Jingshan sneered, glanced at Chu Shuang, who was slightly thoughtful, shook his head and continued, the great Chu dynasty is too small to accommodate this true dragon, but because of this, we don't have to worry that he will covet our Chu family's power. The title of the head of the Lin family can not only show that we attach great importance to him, but also won't if we let them reject our good intentions. Does it matter what other forces will think? What the ancestor means is that Lin Chen might refuse our grant of the title. Why isn't it possible? Hearing what his ancestor said, Chu Shang couldn't help but froze on the spot. Why is it not possible? Yes, why is it impossible? Ancestor, I'm going to prepare now. After coming back to his senses, Chu Shang did not hesitate and began to prepare. When a dynasty enfeoffs a prince, it is naturally not just a decree. It also needs to prepare a large number of heavenly materials and earthly treasures as gifts, all of which he has to deal with personally. Not long after, a convoy of hundreds of phantom blood horses using the marrow-cleansing realm left the royal capital and sped towards the direction of Great Yan City. Hey, isn't this the royal family's motorcade? Where are they going with such a big fanfare? I don't know, but it seems that the carriage must be transporting all kinds of treasures. Is there any force in our Chu dynasty that has been rewarded by His Majesty, the King of Chu, for their meritorious service? Tisk tisk tisk, hundreds of large carriages. His Majesty the King of Chu is really generous. Along the way, countless pedestrians saw the royal motorcade and couldn't help but talk about it, their words full of envy and jealousy at the same time. They were also very curious, which force was so lucky that it actually received the royal award? With a trace of curiosity, many strong men couldn't help but follow him in this regard. King Huoxun and Chu Jingshan, who were accompanying the motorcade, did not pay attention. After several days of running around, the convoy led by King Huoxun finally entered Great Yan City. Lin Wuti, who had already received the news from the royal family, also brought many powerful people from the Lin family to greet them early. After some pleasantries, they entered the Lin family under the leadership of Lin Wuti, and hundreds of carriages filled with various treasures of heaven and earth also entered together. Hey, the treasures of these hundreds of carriages are actually awarded to the Lin family. I had thought that the royal family would win over the Lin family, but I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. I really envy the Lin family to have such a powerful ancestor sitting in charge. The cultivation resources harvested from the Li family and the Wang family have not been used yet. The Chu dynasty has also awarded a large amount of resources. It cannot be used up. It cannot be used up at all. I admit, I'm jealous. The people who watched hundreds of carriages entering the Lin family's gate couldn't help but erupt into bursts of noise after a brief moment of surprise when they thought about the amount of resources the Lin family had now. They couldn't help but feel envious. You should know that because the Lin family has only been prosperous for a short time, the number of clan members is only a few hundred, not to mention the rewards from the royal family. Even the resources of the Wang family could not be used up. Even if they created them in decades, it can be foreseen that those Lin family disciples will definitely not lack cultivation resources in the future, and with the accumulation of a large amount of resources, even a pig can take off. What's more, people? Hey, comparing people to each other is so irritating. Even so, everyone could only shake their heads and lament that no one dared to take advantage of these resources. After all, the memory of the incarnation of Supreme Elder Xian'an being defeated by Lin Chen with a sword is still vivid in his mind. At the same time, deep in the mountains behind the Lin family, in a secret room filled with an incomparable concentration of spiritual energy from heaven and earth, I felt the aura of a powerful person with magical power in the city, and I couldn't help but suddenly opened my eyes. Huh? Have the people from the Chu dynasty finally arrived? As early as 3 days ago, the Lin family received a greeting card from the Chu dynasty. Just as Chu Jingshan said, Lin Chen did not express any objection to the Chu dynasty's intention to make Lin Wuti a Marcus. After all, it was in his mind the Lin family has always followed the path of developing the family: ordinary family, 1,000-year family, 10,000-year family, eternal family. Move forward step by step. Now the Lin family is on the way to transform into a 1,000-year-old family. If it develops step by step like this, it will take a lot of time. However, if you have the position of prince, you can control many cities. The Lin family will develop more rapidly, and he will be able to obtain a large number of luck points every year and become stronger quickly. This luck point is really not enough. This retreat actually consumed a full 180,000 luck points. Putting aside the messy thoughts in his heart, Lin Chen couldn't help but look at his personal dashboard. When he saw the balance of luck points, there were only more than 60,000 luck points left, and he couldn't help but smile bitterly. However, after spending so many luck points, he gained quite a lot. Second level of magical power realm. This is Lin Chen's current cultivation level. The existence of the innate divine body in martial arts, as well as various treasures to assist in training, allowed him to gain new insights almost all the time. One day of training was equivalent to 10 years of training for an ordinary powerful person in the magical power realm. In addition to his cultivation, Lin Chen's biggest gain was that he understood 70% of the sword's intention. In other words, Dayan level sword intent. If this news spreads, it will definitely shock the eyes of countless people and cause a sensation in the entire Dongshan continent. This kind of progress speed, let alone anyone in the Dongshan continent, can match it. Even the ancient geniuses recorded in the ancient books handed down from ancient times are far inferior to Lin Chen. You must know that in ancient times, the continent of Zhenwu world was a whole, and the spiritual energy and Taoist charm of heaven and earth were much richer than now. The quality of the geniuses at that time was much better than it is now. With my current cultivation and foundation, I can be said to be invincible in the Chu dynasty when I explode with all my strength, right? Feeling the terrifying power in his body that could cause slight fluctuations in space with just a wave of his hand, Lin Chen couldn't help but reveal a faint smile on his face. It has been so many years since I traveled to the world of Zhenwu. He finally had some ability to protect himself. It's time to meet the powerful men of the Chu dynasty. After sorting out against from his retreat, Lin Chen couldn't help but look at King Huoxun and Chu Jingshan, who had entered the Lin family's meeting hall, and then disappeared in a flash. When he appeared again, he was already in front of everyone. We have met the ancestor. Many senior members of the Lin family, who had long been accustomed to Lin Chen's appearance, immediately saluted. Is he the ancestor of the Lin family? You are so young. However, if you break through to the mortal realm, you will have a lifespan of 1,000 years. A strong person at the 9th level of the mortal realm can live for up to 2,000 years. He is only 100 years old, which is only equivalent to a child among ordinary people. If you don't take the initiative to control it, you will naturally become younger. Seeing Lin Chen's appearance, which looked like he was in his 20s, King Huoxun and Chu Jingshan couldn't help being shocked, but they quickly reacted. Most of the people they come into contact with are the masters of a certain force. Even if they break through to the mortal realm, they will actively control their appearance to look like they are 30 or 40 years old in order to maintain their majesty. Although there are not many people like Lin Chen who naturally change without control, it is not surprising. The previous king of Chu in the Great Chu dynasty, Chu Jingshan, has met Taoist friend, Huoxun Prince's mansion, Chu's Honggang. I met fellow Taoist, they were thinking in their hearts, but on the surface Chu Jingshan and Chu's Honggang still calmly stepped forward and said hello, which was a preliminary acquaintance. The Lin family, Lin Chen, has met two fellow Taoists. Lin Chen first waved to Lin Wudi behind him, indicating that they didn't need to be polite. Then turned around and looked at the two of them. One is at the 6th level of the supernatural power realm, and the other is at the 9th level of the supernatural power realm. It seems that although the Chu dynasty does not have a strong man in the true spirit realm, it still has a good foundation. For him who has the eye of destiny, the cultivation levels of Chu Jingshan and Chu's Honggang were clearly visible, and he could even know many of the former secrets if he wanted to. However, under normal circumstances, Lin Chen has no habit of peeking into other people's privacy. After just a few glances and the purpose of their coming to the Lin family this time, they closed the eye of destiny. However, compared to Lin Chen, Chu Jingshan and Chu's Honggang felt huge waves in their hearts. The power of supernatural powers, the realm of magical powers. I didn't expect him to break through to the realm of magical powers so quickly. Monster, you are really a monster. When he was at the 9th level of the mortal transformation realm, Lin Chen had the combat power of the 7th level of the supernatural power realm. After breaking through to the magical power realm, he would at least have the combat power of the 8th level of the supernatural power realm, right? Even the existence of the 9th level of the supernatural power realm may not be able to nothing to do with him. Thinking of this, Chu Hongyang and Chu Jingshan couldn't help but look at each other, and they both saw a hint of shock in each other's eyes. Too fast. This growth rate is really too fast. Fortunately, the Chu dynasty did not choose to turn against the Lin family. Otherwise, thinking of this, these two beings who stood at the top of the Chu dynasty couldn't help but shudder in their hearts. This scene makes them feel horrified just thinking about it. With the friendly communication between both parties, everything went smoothly. The Lin family accepted the reward from the Chu dynasty. From now on, 11 cities including Dayan City, Great Cold City, and Dayan City will become the territory of the Lin family in terms of taxation. Only a symbolic 10% is handed over to the Chu dynasty, and the rest belongs to the Lin family. At the same time, the power to appoint the city lords of these 11 cities will also be transferred to the Lin family. What surprised Lin Chen was that King Huaxun was actually willing to send 5,000 people to assist the Lin family in managing these cities until the Lin family itself developed and had enough manpower to take over. Since it is the good intention of fellow Taoist Hozhuan, I would be disrespectful. Ha ha ha, easy to say, easy to say. Seeing Lin Chen accepting his kindness, Chu Hongyang couldn't help laughing. And he felt a little more confident about exchanging treasures from him to make up for Chu Siding's physical defects. Just like that, after an afternoon of getting to know each other, when Chu Hongyang felt that the time was almost up, he pointed at Chu Siding and said, presumably with fellow Taoist cultivation, he should already know Tinger's physique. Seeing Lin Chen nodding, Chu Hongyang no longer hesitated, stared at Lin Chen with bright eyes and continued, I got a hint some time ago that there is an opportunity in Dayan City to make up for Tinger's physical defects, thanks to the book friend, a reward of 100 starting coins for a pure man thanks to book friends, Rose Feud Hong's monthly pass thanks to book friends, 2 monthly passes from Bala Di Lada thanks to book friend, 20210301106485400312 for your monthly ticket. PS, do you want a female protagonist? Chapter 61 3 Methods. I got a hint some time ago that there is an opportunity in Dayan City to make up for Tinger's physical defects. After thinking about it, there is only one Taoist friend in Dayan City who can do this. I wonder if it can be convenient. I am willing to use these treasures in exchange. As he said this, King Huaxun couldn't help but glance at Chu Jingshan. The latter did not hesitate and took out several treasures that had been prepared long ago from the store during the 6th grade intermediate elixir soul nourishing grass. The 6th grade 10,000 years lightning strike would contain the J talisman that a powerful person in the first level of the true spirit realm can strike with all his strength, inherited from a talisman maker. A total of 4 treasures are suspended in the void and interact with each other. Even if the surface is full of restrictions, they still emit a faint fluorescence, showing their extraordinariness. Boom! Seeing the treasure suspended in front of her, Chu Siding couldn't help but be shocked. While being moved, her beautiful eyes couldn't help but fixate on Lin Chen, with 3 parts excitement and 7 parts hope in her eyes. Although she was ready to die, who would want to die if there was a chance to live? She gave up struggling before just because she had no other choice. Facing everyone's gaze, Lin Chen tapped his fingers gently on the table and couldn't help but fall into deep thought. There are many ways to solve the hidden dangers of extremely yin spirit bodies in the system mall, most of which are beyond his affordability, and with his current balance of luck points, there are only 3 ways to solve this problem: upper, middle and lower. The first is an inferior method. As long as you spend more than 19,000 luck points to exchange for a melting spirit pill from the system wall to dissolve the special constitution of the extremely yin spirit body, you naturally don't have to worry about the consequences it will bring defective. But in this way, Chu Siding's talent will be greatly reduced after taking the Lingling pill, and she will suffer heavy losses. The second method is a medium method, which requires spending 60,000 luck points to exchange for a fragment of a heaven-level skill called Jian Xianguang. After practicing it to a small level, it can also eliminate the threats posed by Jian spirits. However, Chu Xiao only has less than 3 months left before she turns 30, so it is almost impossible to achieve a small degree of success in cultivation, and these treasures brought by Huaxun King are far from worth 60,000 luck points. As for this third method, which Lin Chen called the superior method, it not only did not consume any luck points, but also had great benefits for Chu Xiao, that is to use the origin of the innate Tao body in his own body to help his extreme yin spirit body evolve and transform into the ultimate yin treasure body, which can also eliminate this shortcoming. Just to do so, both parties must be honest with each other and have the utmost trust in each other. After all, Although the innate Tao body of the prehistoric human race is known as the source of billions of human constitutions and can accommodate all things, Lin Chen has not completely integrated the innate Tao body and cannot perfectly control its original power. Failure to do so cannot guarantee safety at all. I do have a way to solve the shortcomings of the extremely yin spirit body, but, after a long silence, Lin Chen's fingers stopped beating. He looked at the expectant eyes of King Huoxun and others and said calmly, however, there was no joy on their faces yet. As soon as Lin Chen changed the topic, he slowly described 3 solutions that he had the ability to solve. Spirit fusion pill, no, this method will definitely not be chosen unless it is a last resort. Giant Tian Kung Fu? A fragment of a heaven-level Kung Fu. It is the most powerful Kung Fu technique exclusively for the Ji-Yin spirit body. After hearing the first method described by Lin Chen, King Huoxun immediately rejected it, but the existence of the second method Ji-Yin Biangguang made him overjoyed. But soon, Lin Chen said that he had to practice to a small degree before he could solve the problem. The joy on King Huoxun's face disappeared instantly. Although he has never seen the heaven-level skills and does not know how difficult it is to practice the Jian heaven skills, even the royal family's inherited skills that he is currently practicing, the low-level earth-level skills, Earth Dragon technique, took him 10 years to master. Reached the point of success. Although Tinger's cultivation talent is much better than that of his father, if he wants to practice a heaven-level technique to a small level in just 3 months, even if it is only a fragment, it will undoubtedly be difficult. Idiot's dream. This made King Huoxun's face suddenly turn ugly. Fellow Taoist Lin Chen, didn't you say there are 3 ways? I don't know about the third type. Seeing King Huoxun's disappointed look, Chu Jingshan on the side spoke at this time. This made the Huoxun king, who was originally concerned and disappointed, couldn't help but perked up after hearing this, and stared at Lin Chen, waiting for his answer. Third type. Lin Chen immediately shook his head and refused. This third type, please forgive me for not being able to trade with you. The origin of the innate Taoist body is so precious. How could he use up his original power to help Chu Siding be promoted to the supreme yin treasure body just because of these 4 6th-grade treasures? In Lin Chen's view, even the entire Chu dynasty combined could not compare with the ray of innate Taoist origin in his body. Why are these treasures not enough? If they are not enough, I can add more. As long as I have it, it doesn't matter if I spend everything I have in the Huoxun palace. Hearing Lin Chen's words, Huoxun king suddenly became anxious, thinking that the bargaining chips he gave were not enough, and spoke quickly. Father Chu Siding on the side couldn't help but feel a sore nose when she saw her father looking like this, and she almost shed tears, but she knew it was best not to interrupt at this time, so I suppressed the sourness in my heart and pinched the corner of my clothes tightly. My thoughts were extremely complicated. No, fellow Taoist Hozhuan, you misunderstood. This third method requires me to expend my own resources to be able to do it. Let alone the foundation of the Huoxun palace. Even if the entire Chu dynasty gives it to me, it is not worth it to me. Lin Chen didn't show off, and quickly told them the reason. This as soon as these words came out, both Chu Jingshan and King Huoxun could not help but look stunned. Although they don't know what kind of special physique Lin Chen has, however, in just 100 years, he has been able to cultivate to the realm of supernatural power, and his combat power is at least comparable to the 8th level of the supernatural realm. His physique is at least above the divine body. It is necessary to let a divine body consume its essence to help Chu Siding solve the shortcomings of her physique. Who would do this except a blood relative? Who would be willing to do this? When thinking of this, a trace of disappointment flashed in the eyes of Huoxun king and others. Could it be that we can only choose the first option? But if that's the case, then wouldn't it be that all the hard work I have spent and the high price I have paid have been in vain? King Huoxun couldn't accept this result. However, the actual situation was before him, and he couldn't help but accept it. After all, with the 6th level of Fire Zhuan King's magical power realm, he could clearly feel that Lin Chen was not lying, and with the latter's strength, there was no need to lie. For a moment, the entire hall fell into silence thanks to book friends. 201911221903222260 for your monthly pass. Thank you, book friend. YHF 589 for your monthly pass. Thanks to book friend. VIP0021 for his monthly pass. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. What if she is from your Lin family? Fellow Taoist Lin Chen, actually we have another way. I don't know how long passed, but suddenly, Chu Jingshan, who had not spoken much except at the beginning, suddenly broke the silence in the hall. Oh, hearing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but be slightly startled, and then his eyes fell on Chu Jingshan, his face full of curiosity. He wanted to know, what else could be done, not only Lin Chen, but also Huaxun King and Chu Siding, who were already about to accept the reality, could not help but light up their demise and focus on him, feeling the attention of everyone. Chu Jingshan did not show off, and stared directly at Lin Chen. With my background in the Great Chu dynasty, I am indeed not qualified to let fellow Taoists use my original power to make up for Ting Yatao's physical defects, but what if she is a member of your Lin family? As soon as these words came out, everyone couldn't help but be stunned. What's the meaning? Since when did Chu Siding become a member of my Lin family? However, some smart people turned their eyes slightly and suddenly seemed to think of something. This includes Lin Chen. This made him feel astonished. Although Si Ting is only the princess of my Great Chu dynasty, she possesses a top-level physique such as the extreme yin spirit body that can evolve into divine body. Although her potential is not as good as that of fellow Taoists, it can be regarded as a great help. If fellow Taoist is willing to marry this girl, then I, Chu Jingshan, as the ancestor of the Chu dynasty, will betroth Chu Siding to you, and these treasures will be regarded as the dowry prepared for her by my Chu family. How about it? Seeing the shock in Lin Chen's eyes, Chu Jingshan knew that he understood what he meant, and without waiting for Lin Chen to agree or refuse, he directly put the matter out in the open and asked for it. Hearing this, Lin Chen's expression couldn't help but froze, and he couldn't help but look at Chu Siding. Aside, the person in front of me, although nearly 30 years old, looks like a girl, with bright eyes, white teeth, snow-white skin, and a curvy and beautiful figure. In addition, as a princess, she has such a noble and graceful temperament. Lin Chen suddenly felt a little excited in his heart. After all, he is not a eunuch. I don't have a problem with it if she wants to do it herself. Since he felt moved, Lin Chen would not refuse falsely, but he gave Chu Siding a choice. After all, he doesn't like forcing others. Feeling the gazes of everyone in the hall, Chu Siding immediately blushed. Even though he is nearly 30 years old, he has never been in love, and he doesn't even have a close friend of the opposite sex, so he has seen such a battle. However, although she blushed, she did not escape immediately, but looked at Lin Chen. I saw Shangsa dressed in white, with a handsome face that was as sharp as a knife, and combined with the traces of Taoism that enveloped his body, he looked extremely mysterious and powerful. In the world of Zhenwu, a handsome face coupled with terrifying strength is still quite lethal to Chu Siding, who has not had much contact with the opposite sex. Coupled with Lin Chen's remarks, Chu Siding nodded involuntarily and agreed. Even with the use of the melting spirit pill, she was still able to survive, but without the extremely yin spirit body. With her background, she can only cultivate to the realm of transformation. For the palace, this strength will not affect anything at all, and her father paid such a high price. If she chose the first option, she would definitely attract criticism from other tribesmen, which she didn't want to see. Of course, the most important thing is, regardless of Lin Chen's appearance, strength, or the attention he paid to him, Chu Siding was moved and at the same time moved. Okay, today is such a happy day. In this case, since Tinger's situation is quite special, let's not waste time. How about setting your wedding date in 1 month? Seeing that Chu Siding agreed, Chu Jingshan couldn't help but laugh heartily and straightforwardly set the wedding date for the two of them. Naturally, Lin Chen would not have any objections to this. Afterwards, the two parties talked for a while and discussed some details. The Dachu dynasty group took Chu Siding to say goodbye to Lin Chen and left Dayan City. I've traveled 100 years to the world of Zhenwu, and I'm actually getting married. Watching everyone leave, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel in a trance. He was born into this world, and besides himself, he has 7 brothers and sisters. He is the 3rd child, with an older sister, an older brother, 3 younger brothers and a younger sister. After knowing that this was a fantasy world, he struggled all the way to become stronger. He had no intention of marrying and having children, so he had no children of his own, and as he broke through to the blood exchange realm, he felt that the cultivation resources were becoming increasingly scarce, and it was difficult for him to maintain his cultivation needs by himself. He returned to the Lin family and became the first head of the Lin family with the support of his elder brother and 3 younger brothers. It's a pity that Lin Chen's brothers and sisters have extremely limited qualifications. As early as more than 20 years ago, they left one after another. With the talents of Chu Siding and I, if we give birth to offspring, the talents should not be much weaker. At least they are at the level of spirit bodies. there is a high probability of giving birth to treasure bodies or even divine bodies. Compared with letting Lin Wudi and others pass through the generations. With the optimization qualifications, I don't know how many times it is faster. Perhaps this is also a good choice. Thinking of this, Lin Chen couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Almost half a year has passed since the system released the task of improving the family's power level, but the progress of the mission is not even 1%. This speed is really too slow. Originally, Lin Chen had no choice. After all, the foundation of this group of Lin family members was so weak that they could only do it step by step, but now, he has another way. While nurturing offspring with outstanding talents, we will continue to cultivate and increase the quantity and quality of our tribe. A two-pronged approach. As long as we get through the most difficult early stage, the subsequent development should have the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2 quantity rolls quality. When there are more people, a few geniuses will always emerge. If the Lin family wants to continue to develop and become a 1,000-year family, a 10,000-year family, or even an immortal family, it cannot be accomplished by him alone. It requires the unremitting efforts of countless clan members, just like a 1,000-year-old family under normal circumstances. There will be at least 1 person in the mortal transformation realm, 10 in the blood exchange realm, 100 in the marrow cleansing realm, and thousands of clansmen below the marrow cleansing realm. As for the Lin family, apart from him, they couldn't even get 10 of them to the blood changing realm, let alone the mortal transformation realm. The number of clan members is only a few hundred. No matter what, it is much lower than that of ordinary 1,000-year-old families. However, Lin Chen also knew that this was an unavoidable shortcoming for every family that had just begun to develop, and he can only try to shorten the time to make up for these shortcomings. Chapter 63, It can't be used up. It can't be used up at all. The Chu dynasty moved quickly. Not even an hour after Chu Jingshan and others left Dayan City, the city lord of Dayan City and the city lords of 11 large cities received the decree from the king of Chu, the head of the Lin family, canonized as the Marquis of Zhendong, Great Yan City, Great Cold City, etc. 11 cities will become the territory of the Lin family from now on. Although I thought His Majesty King Chu would win over the Lin family, I didn't expect this day to come so quickly. The Lord of Dayan City looked at the decree with the king's seal in his hand, and couldn't help but feel a hint of bitterness at the corner of his mouth. A family that once belonged to his subordinates and name has suddenly become his immediate boss, not to mention taking over the power of life and death. Fortunately, he had not offended the Lin family, otherwise, he would have panicked at this time. Come here, prepare the tax revenue of Dayan City for the past 6 months. I want to go to the Lin family to meet the Marquis of Zhendong. Yes, whether it is Dayan City or other cities, taxes are paid once a year. Only half of this year has passed, so there are still a lot of resources in the city lord's palace that have not been handed over now. With a new boss, he naturally has to bring the resources that he had not handed over before and obey the orders of the head of the Lin family. The Lin family has the final say on how to hand over taxes in the future. Not only the city lord of Dayan City, but also the city lords of the remaining 10 cities also made similar moves. After all, except for Daxuan City, which has a powerful person at the mortal transformation realm, the strongest among them is only at the 9th level of the blood exchange realm. With this level of strength, the ancestor of the Lin family could kill them instantly with just one breath. Naturally, I don't dare to do anything to show off or use any small tricks. What's more, this is the decree personally issued by His Majesty the King of Chu. There is no airtight wall in the world. Not to mention that the Lord of Dayan City and the others are so grand and have no intention of keeping it secret. Soon, the news that the head of the Lin family was named the Marquis of Zhendong quickly spread among the Chu dynasty. Countless forces and powerful people who received this news were shocked in their hearts. What's going on? The head of the Lin family is granted the title of Marquis of Zhendong? Are you sure he's not the ancestor of the Lin family? If I remember correctly, the head of the Lin family is just a mere blood exchange level cultivation level, right? Just like that, can he become the Marquis of Zhendong? Although this news is indeed a bit explosive, it is the fact. Someone has already verified it in the royal capital. This for a time, the entire Chu dynasty couldn't help but become noisy. Many aristocratic families were very dissatisfied with Lin Wudi becoming the Marquis of Zhendong. You must know that from the founding of the Chu dynasty to the present, those who can be named princes are at least 7 levels of supernatural powers and above. Even the heirs who succeed to the throne of princes must at least have the cultivation of supernatural powers. There has never been a person who has become a prince under the realm of supernatural power. Therefore, many powerful nobles from aristocratic families rushed to the royal city overnight to ask the King of Chu to take back his decree. Even if the Lin family was to be made a prince, the ancestor of the Lin family should be made a prince instead of a mere ant in the blood exchange realm. This makes them feel very humiliated. However, faced with the criticism and requests of these aristocratic families, the king of Chu did not want to pay attention at first, but as time went by, more and more noble families rushed to the royal city and showed their dissatisfaction. The news even spread to neighboring countries, causing waves of chaos. The king of Chu also had to come forward. It's just that he didn't compromise as everyone imagined, but said this calmly: "The ancestor of the Lin family has broken through to the magical realm." After saying that, he ignored everyone's reaction and left the hall where they were received. What? Divine power realm? Seeing King Chu disappearing from their eyes, these words could not help but echo in their minds, causing their unhappy expressions to gradually turn solemn. He was silent for a long time. Gudong. How long has it been since the ancestor of the Lin family broke through to the realm of supernatural powers? When he was at the 9th level of the mortal transformation realm, he already had terrifying combat power comparable to the 7th level of the divine power realm. After breaking through to the divine power realm and mastering the power of supernatural powers, wouldn't he be called invincible at the divine power realm? It's not like he's invincible. At least he can't do it when he's at the 1st level of the magical realm. Yes, the gap between each level of the magical power realm is huge. Even if the powerful masters of the magical power realm in our great Chu dynasty do not have the same level of background as those in the prosperous territory of Huangzhou, the ancestor of the Lin family wants to dominate this realm with his. At the very least, combat power requires a cultivation level above the 3rd level of the magical power realm, but even so, it's very scary. No wonder the king of Chu didn't make the ancestor of the Lin family the Marquis of Zhendong. As soon as these words came out, everyone present could not help but remain silent. Did the king of Chu not want to grant the title of Marquis of Zhendong to the ancestor of the Lin family? Certainly not. But why didn't he do this? Because he is not worthy of the Chu dynasty. After thinking about this, these powerful nobles from aristocratic families couldn't help but look at each other, and they all saw a hint of helplessness in each other's eyes. 100-year-old magical power with such a terrifying cultivation speed. It may not take many years before the ancestor of the Lin family will surpass the strongest of the Chu dynasty in strength and enter a terrifying realm that has not been born for thousands of years. True spiritual realm, also known as the King's realm. For example, if Chu's Honggang breaks through to this realm, he can call himself King Huaxun. This king is no longer the king of vassals, but the king of martial arts with a lifespan of 10,000 years. One person is enough to rival a pseudo 4th level force like the Great Chu dynasty, which does not have a strong person in the true spirit realm. Looking at the entire Huangzhou, he has also become one of the top experts. It's gone. It's gone. It didn't take long for these powerful men from aristocratic families to go back to their respective homes to find their respective mothers. They can inherit this world for thousands or even 10,000 years. They may not be very strong in terms of strength, but they are definitely good at judging the situation. Many forces not only put aside their grudges, but also started preparing gifts in this way. More than half a month passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, Dayan City was very lively. Ever since the city lords of Dayan City and other 11 cities came to visit the Lin family, many forces came to the Lin family with gifts to congratulate them almost every day. This makes the Lin family's cultivation resources soar at a speed visible to the naked eye. It can't be used up. It can't be used up at all. Elder Lin, who is in charge of the treasure pavilion, can be said to be very happy these days. Counting a large number of resources into the treasure pavilion every day, the feeling is not to mention how beautiful it is. Even recently, he planned to apply to the family owner to expand the treasure pavilion because the resources consumed by the Lin family are not worth mentioning compared to the resources entering the treasure house. They are almost filling up the treasure house. Third elder, is the third elder here? How many third-grade elixirs are there in the clan now? Give them to me quickly. Just as the third elder in charge of the treasure pavilion was happily counting the treasures, suddenly, the sound of rapid footsteps accompanied by shouts reached his ears. Thanks to book friends, self-discipline is the prerequisite for freedom. 2 monthly passes. Thanks to book friends, 2 monthly passes from the post-80s book saints. Thanks to the book friend, monthly ticket for the dog that blows bubbles. Thanks to book friend, Wang Haha for his 2 monthly passes. Thanks to book friend, Wu Engine for his monthly pass. PS. I think many readers don't seem to want a female protagonist. Please rest assured that this article is mainly about developing the family and will not write too much about love and love. I am not good at that stuff. Marrying a wife is mainly to accelerate the development of the family. Chapter 64 Attacking the Third Grade Alchemist. Lin Feng, "You little bastard, instead of pestering your sister for elixirs, you go to my treasure house and directly ask for third-grade elixirs. You really think you are your sister? If you want elixirs, you can contribute some points. Come and redeem." Seeing the figure of the visitor, the third elder couldn't help but roll his eyes. Lin Feng is Lin Ling's younger brother. A few years ago, he heard that he had become a disciple of a mysterious and powerful man and often trained in the outside world under normal circumstances. Lin Feng would not return to the family until the end of the year, but who allowed the Lin family to dominate the Chu dynasty during this period and obtain a large amount of training resources. After hearing the news, Lin Feng, who was frightened, ran back in a hurry, and along the way, countless stories about Lin Chen and Lin Ling came to his ears, which shocked him, let alone mention them. "If I were to use it myself, I would definitely exchange the contribution points for it, but my sister wants to use these elixirs." Hearing this, Lin Feng quickly shook his head and explained he was just about to go to his sister's place to collect some elixirs for practice, when Lin Ling persuaded him and asked him to go to the treasure pavilion to collect a large number of third-grade elixirs. The more, the better. What? Lin Ling wants to use it? Is she going to try to break through to third-level alchemist? Great, great, wait a minute, brat. With that said, the third elder turned around and disappeared from the spot with a look of joy on his face. Lin Feng, who saw this scene, was filled with envy. "Hey, I don't know when I will be able to cultivate to this level." His cultivation qualifications are only average, inferior to Lin Ling, who is not trained by Lin Chen before. Although he often goes to the outside world for training, resulting in his own strength being no weaker than the geniuses in the clan, only Lin Feng himself knows the hardships involved. After all, his master was just a casual cultivator at the 9th level of the blood exchange realm. He didn't have enough cultivation resources. Lin Feng had to search for many resources by himself in the deep mountains and old forests. This also resulted in his cultivation level being only at the 2nd level of the bone forging realm. Moreover, this 2nd level bone forging realm was achieved by Lin Feng when he returned to his family and used the pills given by Lin Ling. Since master left that place half a year ago, he has not come back and I don't know where he went. However, I left my whereabouts in the wooden house. If master comes back, I can find him. Although master is very strict with me, it is for my own good after all. I have to work hard and earn more contribution points. It is best to have the contribution points to redeem the mortal transformation pill before master comes to find me. When he thought of the days spent with his master, Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a faint smile on his face. Although his cultivation level is low, it is just because of his lack of qualifications. If we talk about combat power, even the average 5th level bone forging realm is no match for him. It can also be seen from this that Master Lin Feng still spared no effort in cultivating him, and he is not a bitch who never repays his kindness. If he has this ability, the first thing he thinks of is his master, as for why he was so confident and felt that he had the ability to redeem 4th grade elixirs such as the metamorphosis pill. He had to say that he encountered an opportunity on his way back to the Lin family. "I don't know what level of treasure this small tower is. It can actually teach me how to practice exercises and martial arts. It can also directly extract elixirs and the pure medicinal power contained in elixirs to speed up my practice." Thinking in his mind, Lin Feng's mind couldn't help but sink into the danshan in his body. He looked at a bronze pagoda suspended in it and couldn't help but secretly excited. Ordinary elixirs, unless they are top-quality elixirs, basically contain a trace of erysipelas. You simply cannot take it all the time. You need to use time to eliminate the remaining erysipelas in your body, but the pure medicinal power extracted from the pagoda in his body is different. It can be used to speed up cultivation, and there is no so-called erysipelas impurity at all. From this point of view, this small tower is a well-deserved treasure. It was also an opportunity for him to change his destiny against the will of heaven and become a truly strong man. However, Lin Feng was not too proud. He is now only using this small tower to practice some low-level exercises and martial arts, and what he has refined is only 1st and 2nd grade elixirs and elixirs. It is not known whether it will have any effect on those high-level exercises and elixirs. He could only try his best to use this treasure to become stronger quickly. Even if he reaches the upper limit of this small tower, he will have more time to pursue a higher realm. You brat, what are you thinking about in her days? Why don't you take me to Lin Ling's place quickly? If it delays her ability to become a 3rd grade alchemist, you can come to me to exchange resources in the future, so prepare 1/3 more contribution points. Just when Lin Feng was thinking wildly, the 3rd elder came to him at some point. Seeing him in a daze, he couldn't help blowing his beard and glaring in fear. In response, Lin Feng just rolled his eyes, Not believing that the third elder would do this, however, he didn't say anything to contradict him and took him to the place where Lin Ling retreated and made alchemy at the same time. In a large hall, Lin Ling, who had adjusted his breath and was sitting cross-legged on a futon, waiting for Lin Feng to deliver the elixir, watched the people coming and going at the foot of the mountain, and the scene where powerful people kept coming to visit their Lin family. He couldn't help but laugh and said, "Teacher, at first I said that the resources in Great Yan City were too scarce. So I would go to the outside world to gain experience as a second-level alchemist. Now it seems that, let alone supplying me with the elixir to become a third-level alchemist, even if I am the elixir of a fourth-level alchemist is also available." Hearing this, Xiao Jia was also speechless. Who knew Lin Chen's combat power was so outrageous? The 9th level of mortal realm was comparable to the 7th level of the divine power realm. The battle was shocking. Not only did the Chu dynasty use his position as a prince to win over him, but he was also given a total of 11 large cities as fiefdoms. Plus congratulatory gifts from various major forces who visited the Lin family. It directly made the Lin family rich overnight, richer than the average old millennium family. Okay, don't get the advantage and behave yourself. If your ancestors hadn't been so outrageous, you would have been in the mountains thousands of miles away from Great Yan City, and you would have suffered a lot. But with this condition, we really don't need to go out to practice now. It is also a good choice to improve our cultivation and alchemist level first, and then wait for the alchemist conference in 2 years to become a blockbuster. Is teacher? Hearing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but nod. The alchemist conference is a grand event organized by the Alchemist Association of the Great Chu Dynasty. Once 3 years, anyone under 30 years old with second-grade alchemy skills or above can participate during the competition. All elixir recipes and medicinal materials are provided by the Alchemist Association. As long as half of the refined elixir is handed over to the Alchemist Association, the rest can be put into your own pocket. Get in the top 100 and get extra rewards. But this time the Alchemist Conference was different because it was organized by the Alliance of 100 Dynasties. The 10-year Alchemist Conference was held within 3 months after the end of the Great Chu Dynasty's Alchemist Conference. If you can enter the top 10, you will not only receive more generous rewards from the Great Chu Dynasty, but also represent the dynasty in the Alchemist Conference held by the Alliance of 100 Dynasties. If you can get a good ranking during the period, the benefits gained will be enough to all the 5th grade forces on one side were envious and envious of him. Thanks to Book Friends, 2 monthly passes. Thanks to Book Friends, get used to one person's monthly pass. Thanks to Book Friends, 2 monthly passes for Shang. Chapter 65. The second person favored by family luck. At the same time, in a secret room deep inside the Lin family, Lin Chen, who had just woken up from seclusion, seemed to sense something, and his eyes immediately fell on Lin Feng, who was leading the third elder to the alchemy hall. Name, Lin Feng. Age, 15. Qualifications, moderate cultivation level, second level of bone forging realm. Life story, 5 days ago, on the way back to the Lin family, I accidentally fell into a cave and obtained a 7th level top-notch rare treasure, the exquisite pagoda, incomplete. Now I am leading the 3 elders of the Lin family towards the alchemy hall under Lin Chen's destiny. Everything Lin Feng experienced was invisible to him, including the small tower hidden in his body's Danshan exquisite pagoda. The complete grade of this treasure created by Taoist Ling Long is unknown. At the very least, with his current state, he couldn't detect it with the eye of destiny. Therefore, Lin Chen conservatively estimated that the complete and exquisite pagoda is at least an intermediate treasure of the 8th level or above. However, due to the catastrophe in ancient times, Taoist Linglong fell, and the Linglong pagoda was also torn into pieces. I don't know how many pieces it broke into. That is to say, the piece in Lin Feng's hand is the larger one among all the fragments of the Linglong pagoda, otherwise it would not be possible to reach the top level of 7th level. To have such an opportunity, no wonder it can attract the favor of the family's luck. The Linglong pagoda? It's a pity that it is already incomplete. Otherwise, it can still be regarded as a treasure. Seeing the eye of destiny detecting the information about the small tower in Lin Feng's body, a trace of pity flashed across Lin Chen's face. The incomplete Linglong pagoda is at the top level of the 7th level, and the complete Linglong pagoda is at least an 8th or even 9th level treasure in the world of Zhenwu. The grade of magic weapons is the same as that of elixirs, divided into levels 1 to 9. One of the first level magic weapons is suitable for practitioners in the skin refining realm and bone forging realm. The second level magic weapon is suitable for practitioners in the Yijin realm and the marrow cleansing realm. A third level magic weapon, suitable for the blood exchange realm. The fourth level magic weapon is suitable for the realm of transformation, and so on. The 7th level treasure corresponds to the emperors above the Nirvana realm. Even for them, it is a rare treasure, that is the state of Nirvana. Even if you look at the entire Dongshan continent, it is one of the beings that stands at the top. It can create a dynasty or an imperial power, and its lifespan is as high as 129,600 years. Moreover, every time you pass through a Nirvana calamity, you can add another 10,000 years to your lifespan. It is completely different from the previous realm. Even the super powerful people in the Nirvana realm would be jealous of the 7th level exquisite pagoda if it is exposed. It will definitely cause a sensation in Dongshan continent and cause countless powerful people to pursue him. Of course, Lin Chen was not worried about this. He only has the eye of destiny to be able to see through this treasure. If it were an ordinary powerful person in the magical power realm, even if it was placed in front of them, they would not be able to detect the slightest difference. What concerned Lin Chen was the other people who obtained the fragments of the Linglong Pagoda. Lin Feng's acquisition of this treasure also means that in the future he will form a causal relationship with a cultivator who also has fragments of the exquisite pagoda. Destiny will make them meet. In the end, only one person can have the last laugh and truly own this treasure. It would be fine if these fragments were in the hands of the younger generation of beings, but it would be troublesome if old monsters who had lived for tens or even hundreds of thousands of years also obtained these fragments. Thinking of this, Lin Chen couldn't help but frown slightly. Treasures of this level have the inherent ability to repair. As long as the remaining pagoda fragments are found, they can be fused and devoured by each other, eventually restoring their original rank. People who also possess fragments of the exquisite pagoda will sense each other. The stronger their cultivation, the wider the range of this sense. If this happened to those old monsters in the true spirit realm or Nirvana realm, they would probably be able to sense it even if they were tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of miles away. As a result, Lin Feng's situation was very dangerous. Why are you thinking so much? Lin Feng has been back for so many days, and he has not seen any strong people come to his door. There should be no problem for the time being. As long as you give me some time. What if it is an old monster from the true spirit realm or even the Nirvana realm? As long as you dare to bully the small, I will uproot you and all the forces behind you. Thinking of this, a strong murderous intention flashed in Lin Chen's eyes. With his current level of cultivation, although he is far from a match for the king of the true spirit realm, the Lin family will enter a period of rapid development and will be able to generate a large number of luck points for him to cultivate. As long as he is given a period of development, he will have the confidence to compete with or even kill the king of the true spirit realm soon. Another week passed in the blink of an eye under the guidance of a large number of third-grade elixirs and Xiao Jia, a 7th-grade alchemist, Lin Ling, who had the talent of dual treasure bodies and worked extremely hard, finally succeeded in breaking through to the realm of a third-grade alchemist on the 7th day. And Lin Chen, who was in seclusion in a secret room, heard the system's mechanical and cold notification sound in his mind. Suddenly, a mechanical and cold tone sounded in his ears. Congratulations to the host. Lin Ling, a descendant of the family, has broken through to the level of a 3rd-level alchemist and received a reward, a 4th-level top alchemist experience node, 50,000 luck points, and 10 3rd-level spiritual field talismans. 3rd-grade spiritual field talisman. It can turn an acre of land into a 3rd-grade spiritual field, which can increase the growth rate of 1st-grade elixirs 20 times the outside world, the growth speed of 2nd-grade elixirs 10 times, and the growth speed of 3rd-grade elixirs 5 times. Growth speed. Note, need to use spiritual stones to maintain 100 low-grade spiritual stones a year. Lin Chen had long been used to the first 2 rewards, so he didn't think anything of it, but this 3rd-grade spiritual field talisman made his face light up with the slightest hint of joy. In Lin Chen's opinion, the effect of this 3rd-grade spiritual field talisman on the Lin family is much higher than 50,000 luck points. After all, this represents a steady stream of elixirs. As long as it is used, the Lin family's development speed will reach a higher level. When he thought of this, Lin Chen couldn't sit still anymore. In a flash, he left the secret room and started wandering around the Lin family. In the end, he chose a plain near the forbidden land behind the family mountain and chose to use the 3rd-grade spiritual field talisman. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As a sound broke through the air, under Lin Chen's gaze, 10 3rd-grade spiritual field talismans turned into a stream of light and merged with the earth in an orderly manner. Suddenly, the rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged across the land, and mysterious lines wandered through it, making the originally yellow land begin to quickly turn black. I don't know how much time passed, but as these lines completely merged with the earth, the extremely dark land suddenly became covered with white mist. It's done, thanks to the book friends. The Prodigal Tourist's 100 starting coin reward. Thanks to book friends, A monthly pass for finding a beauty in troubled times. Thank you, book friend. 20170308142944437 for your monthly ticket. Thanks to book friends. Monthly pass for Starry Night. Thanks to book friends. Lin Chen's 2 monthly passes. Thanks to book friend. 20190308225747996 for his 2 monthly passes. Chapter 66 Development Plan. It's really a 3rd grade spiritual field, and it has 10 acres. It's done. After receiving the news from Lin Chen, Lin Wuti led the senior leaders of the Lin family to arrive here. Looking at the fields with white mist floating on them, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. The 4 major elixir families in Dayan City only have about 5 pieces of spiritual fields in their hands, and the highest is only 2nd grade. In this way, they have monopolized the elixir market in Dayan City. Even the 3 major families must give them some face, and now, their Lin family also has a spiritual field. Not only is the grade as high as the 3rd grade, but it also costs 10 yuan. As the head of the Lin family, he is particularly clear about the meaning of this. Let's go ahead and select 10 tribesmen who practice wood-based skills to guard and take care of the spiritual field, and then send strong men to major shops in the city to buy as many elixir seeds as they have. Yes, master, there was a deacon who is responsible for these chores. After hearing Lin Wuti's words, he immediately went to arrange the tasks. Excitedly watching his leaving figure, Lin Wuti turned his attention to the 4th elder again. 4th elder, as a 2nd grade formation mage, I leave it to you to arrange the protective formations for these 10 spiritual fields. If you need anything, just tell the 3rd elder. My pleasure. The 4th elder happily accepted the order, then took out a jade talisman and began to list the materials needed to arrange the formation. When the 4th elder was young, he had received the inheritance from a 3rd grade formation mage. However, due to his limited understanding, he has not yet fully understood this inheritance, and is still trapped in the realm of the 2nd level top formation master. However, he can still do it by setting up some maze formations, trapping formations, and defensive conquests against creatures below the blood exchange realm. After all, there are many animals and wild beasts living in the mountains behind the Lin family. In order to prevent the spiritual field from being destroyed without the guardians paying attention, it is necessary to arrange some formations. The Lin family was at its peak in the Chu dynasty at this time, and the ancestor of the Lin family was also famous. Not to mention that in Dayan City, the status of a local emperor made the process of purchasing elixir seeds for the Lin family very smooth without any obstacles. As for the materials used by the 4th elder to set up the formation, they could easily gather all the materials with a huge treasure base of the treasure pavilion. It only took 3 days to get everything done. The cultivation of elixirs is also on the right track. Tisk. It is indeed a 3rd grade spiritual field. At this rate, within a year, our Lin family will have a steady stream of 3rd grade elixirs for use. Yes, the maturity period of most 3rd grade low-level and intermediate-level elixirs is less than 5 years. Only the 3rd level high-level elixirs, and some with special effects, have a maturity period of more than 5 years. The maturity period of 3rd level spiritual medicines is 5 times. The growth speed blessing is really too strong. Seeing the 3 spiritual fields full of 3rd grade elixirs sprouting in just 3 days, the faces of many strong men present suddenly showed happy smiles. Nowadays, there are not many strong people in the blood exchange realm in the Lin family. Even if they don't plant it, the 3rd grade elixir Lin Chen seized from the Wang family is enough for them to practice, not to mention the gifts sent by major forces. However, it's always good to plan ahead. The Lin family currently has very few strong men in the blood exchange realm, but after a year, it might not be that clear. Therefore, without delaying the need for elixirs for the clansmen below the blood exchange realm, after unanimous discussion among the senior leaders of the Lin family, 3 spiritual fields were set aside, all of which were used to grow 3rd grade elixirs. Among them, most are 3rd grade low level and intermediate level. As for the remaining 7 spiritual fields, except for one used to cultivate elixirs for infant foundation building, the remaining 3 are used to grow 1st grade elixirs, and the remaining 3 are used to grow 2nd grade elixirs. In 2 or 3 months, many new babies will be born in our Lin family. In the past, we did not have the conditions to consolidate and cultivate the clan's strength and lay a deep foundation during their infancy, but now, we have this condition. Our generation may not be able to follow in the footsteps of our ancestors and see higher level scenery. However, our descendants can fulfill this wish for us. Yes, our ancestors have paved the way for us. However, our qualifications are limited, so we can only work hard to train the next generation. If we continue to develop from generation to generation, our Lin family will one day have the appearance of a wealthy family and have the heritage of a princely family. As early as Lin Chen showed his strength, these senior Lin family officials felt a surge of energy in their hearts. They knew that the Lin family's current prosperity was solely supported by their ancestor. Many forces seemed to be very respectful to them, but they could still detect a trace of disdain in their eyes that was not directed at Lin Chen, but at them. In the realm of blood exchange, be granted the title of Marcus. Ask yourself, if it were him, he probably wouldn't have much respect for the mighty Zhendong Marcus, whose cultivation was only at the blood exchange level. Therefore, after they finished handling their affairs during this period, they practiced like crazy. First of all, as the head of the Lin family, Lin Wudi's qualifications have been raised to the top level by Lin Chen. Coupled with a large amount of resource assistance and a 10% increase in the Blue family's luck, such as the cultivation speed and other superior conditions, his cultivation level has also improved. It was just a breakthrough to the 6th level of the blood exchange realm. There is still quite a long way to go before reaching the 7th level. If this continues, I don't know how long it will take to break through to the mortal realm. 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, they don't know either. Therefore, from that moment on, they understood that with their qualifications and cultivation speed, they could not follow in the footsteps of their ancestors, nor could they develop the Lin family to the point where they could consolidate the foundation of the princely family. Therefore, I set my sights on the offspring that were about to be born while working hard to cultivate these descendants. We should improve the overall strength of the family as much as possible and lay a solid foundation for this group of descendants to lead to the royal family heritage. Well, there are only a few days left before the 1-month deadline set with the Huaxun Prince's mansion. Next, we will start making full preparations for the reception of our ancestors' wedding. We must not let anything slip. After getting excited, Lin Wudi took a look at the festive decorations that were about to be arranged, and his expression suddenly became serious. My ancestor never married for the sake of the Lin family. Now, they finally have this idea. If they mess up, how can they have the dignity to go underground to meet their elders of the Lin family? The most important thing is with the ancestor's talent and cultivation. If an heir is born, his qualifications will at least be at the spirit level. As long as he waits for decades and is trained by the Lin family, it will be easy to break through to the mortal realm if you give him more time. Even if he is in the magical realm, it won't be a problem in this way. The Lin family has a backbone. Don't worry, I spent a lot of time in vain, but I couldn't give birth to a spirit level being, let alone develop to the level of a prince family. Thanks to book friends, Jiangxiu Mingming has 2 monthly passes thanks to book friends, 2 monthly passes for Shang thanks to book friends, he's Hein's 2 monthly passes thanks to book friends, nameless monthly ticket. Chapter 67 Major forces gather in Dayan City. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, there are only 1 or 2 days left before the 1-month period agreed by the Huaxun Palace. During this period, the news about Lin Chen and Chu Siding's weddings shocked the entire Chu dynasty. After all, in the circle of aristocratic families, the news that Lin Chen had broken through to the magical realm was no longer a secret. Coupled with Chu Xiao's identity, this wedding ceremony attracted the attention of countless forces and powerful people. Many forces traveled thousands of miles and sent strong men to Dayan City early carrying gifts, not to mention those forces living in Dayan City and other 11 surrounding cities and even Huaxun County. They rushed to Dayan City 2 or 3 days in advance to wait for the wedding ceremony to begin. Gudong. Is this still the great Dayan City? There are so many powerful people. Just at a glance, I felt no less than 10 auras that were weaker than me. There was also a vague aura hidden in it that even I felt was obscure. Among the crowd, the leader of the 7th grade force who had just stepped into Great Yan City felt the aura emanating from the people on the street, and a trace of horror flashed in his eyes. He is a strong man at the 7th level of blood exchange realm. Even a person at the 9th level of the blood exchange realm cannot do this. In other words, the owner of this breath is most likely a powerful person in the mortal transformation realm who has surpassed the blood exchange realm. He is not surprised that there are powerful people in the mortal realm in Dayan City. What shocked him was that he had just stepped into Great Yan City and felt the existence of the mortal transformation realm. As a result, the number of strong men gathered in the entire Great Yan City would far exceed his imagination. It can be said that the number of powerful people gathered here has probably exceeded that of most counties. When he thought of this, the leader of the 7th grade power couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, and a turmoil arose in his heart. In the Great Chu dynasty, those counties and cities with strong strength and profound heritage were not without beings at the 7th level of the supernatural realm or even higher. But even so, It couldn't cause such a sensation, let alone attract so many powerful people to attend a wedding. Only the ancestor of the Lin family could do this, a true man. This is how it should be. Not only this 7th level force leader, but also many major forces who came from other cities couldn't help but feel shocked when they felt the number of strong men gathered in Dayan City, especially those nobles from aristocratic families who looked down upon the Lin family. A strong man from a wealthy family could not help but remain silent at this time. So what if the Lin family's overall strength is weak? As long as the ancestor of the Lin family is strong enough, do they still dare to do something to him? Thinking of this, no matter what kind of mentality he came to the great Yan City, the strong man couldn't help but become quiet and low key. This made many unknown aborigines in Dayan City marvel in admiration, as expected of the power of our great Chu dynasty. It is just low key. It is not at all as unruly and troublemaking as what those scripts say. Yes, when I realized that these forces were coming to our great Yan City, I took my family as close as possible to the Lin family and the city lord's mansion. Now it seems that my worries were in vain. Isn't this good? Without those dandy boys causing trouble and causing wars, our lives and property will be protected. This can only be said that the strength of the ancestor of the Lin family is too strong, so strong that all major forces dare not cause trouble. It will, like, Dayan City has a population of tens of millions, so naturally there are wise men who can see clearly. They know very well that these forces have gathered here, and there are many who have grievances between them. But there is no fundamental reason for the conflict. Unlike those of the 6th rank of the great Chu dynasty, the 5th rank is low key and will not cause trouble. It was because they were afraid of the strength of the ancestor of the Lin family and did not dare to cause trouble in this way. Time passed like water, and soon the day of Lin Chen and Chu Xiao's wedding arrived. This day many forces who arrived in Dayan City in advance formed a long queue at the door of the Lin family. Many Lin family disciples collected congratulatory gifts while guiding these forces to take seats in the square hall where the wedding banquet was held. It was a busy scene, so lively. Just as everyone was entering in an orderly manner, suddenly, a clear voice sounded between heaven and earth. The head of the Zhao family in Xiangxin County came with his clan members to attend the Lin family's wedding banquet. As soon as these words fell, a group of people wearing Zhao family clothes appeared in the sky above Dayan City. The middle-aged man at the head waved his hand, and the vast magical power turned into a bridge to the sky, extending to outside the Lin family gate. Then, amid the shocked eyes of countless people, he led his clan members down step by step. Ha! It turns out to be a fellow Taoist from the Zhao family. Please come inside. Please come inside. The third elder, who had been waiting here for a long time, saw the figure of the visitor and greeted him with a smile on his face. The head of the Zhao family did not dislike the third elder's low strength. Instead, he happily chatted with him. However, he did not delay long and entered an extremely luxurious hall under the warm reception of the third elder. This main hall, located in the center of the square, is the main hall for this wedding banquet, and is also a place used to receive many powerful people of 5th rank. It didn't take long after the third elder took the Zhao family and his party away. Another 5th grade leader came to the door of the Lin family with his clan members. His strength was even much stronger than that of the Zhao family leader. The second elder stepped forward to receive him. 1, 2, 3 hisses. So far, 9 masters of 5th level forces have come to attend the wedding banquet of the ancestors of the Lin family with the strongest members of the clan. I wonder how many 5th level forces will be there when it starts. Come, I don't know, but it won't be less. Look, another 5th grade force has arrived. It seems to be from the Mad Sword sect. Hiss, isn't the Mad Sword sect located in the far west of the great Chu dynasty? It is estimated to be nearly 100,000 miles away from Dayan City on the eastern border. Are they all coming from such a distance? It seems that almost all the 5th rank forces in the Chu dynasty will attend this wedding banquet. I can only say that this ancestor of the Lin family is indeed a peerless monster that has never been born in the Chu dynasty in the past. No, he is a peerless strong man. This attraction is too strong. After seeing one after another of 5th level forces appearing in the sky above Dayan City, heading to the Lin family to celebrate, countless people who gathered here and were not qualified to participate in such a banquet couldn't help but burst into lively noises. Their eyes were full of envy and excitement. What I envied was that Lin Chen had such terrifying appeal. They were so excited to witness this great moment in the future. You will have the capital to brag to others thanks to Book Friends, a monthly pass for fun thanks to the Book Friend, Leo Gui's monthly pass thanks to Book Friends, monthly ticket for Tai Chi thanks to Book Friends. 20230424164549001678850 for your monthly pass thanks to book friends, Shuankei's 2 monthly passes thanks to book friend, Wuianji for 2 monthly passes. Chapter 68 The Development of the Lin Family. After the wedding, the guests dispersed and Lin Chen also came to the bridal chamber seeing Chu Siding with a red hijab on her head and a proud figure that could not be concealed even in a red wedding dress. Lin Chen couldn't help but have a flash of fire in his eyes, and without any hesitation, he reached out and lifted the red hijab. "Husband, please have mercy." Looking at Lin Chen's handsome face, Chu Siding couldn't help but blush on her face and slowly closed her eyes, a pair of beautiful eyebrows, gently shaking, full of charm. Seeing this, Lin Chen did not let down the beauty with a wave of his hand. The lights in the bridal chamber were extinguished, and a touch of spring flowed in the darkness. A moment of spring night is worth 1,000 pieces of gold thanks to Lin Chen's hard work. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. Even with his current level of cultivation, it would be more difficult to have an heir, but it still couldn't stop Lin Chen from working hard day and night. Soon, there was good news. Chu Siding has it. Lin Chen couldn't help but reveal a smile on his face. After traveling through the world of Zhenwu for hundreds of years, he finally had his own bloodline, with the qualifications of my innate divine body and Seating's talent that has evolved to the ultimate yin treasure body, combined with my cultivation in the magical power realm. No matter how much the first descendant pulls his hips, he will start with the qualifications of a top spiritual body. As long as his luck is not too bad, the possibility of a treasure body is very high, and there is even hope that a genius with a divine body will be born. While muttering to himself, a trace of expectation flashed across Lin Chen's face. If his child really has the aptitude for a divine body, then he can cultivate a second peerless monster that will make the great Chu dynasty and even the Huangzhou tremble. When it grows up, the Lin family will have a second-generation ancestor, and he can truly retreat into the background. After all, the more advanced your cultivation is, the longer your retreat will last. Nowadays, he is only at the level of magical power. Even if he retreats, it only lasts for a few years or 10 years at a time. For the Lin family, it is still within the acceptable range. However, after his cultivation reaches the true spirit realm, or even a higher realm, any retreat can last for tens or even hundreds of years. This is really too long for the Lin family. Once there is an emergency, he cannot be contacted in time. Even if he can be contacted, if he happens to be in a critical period of seclusion, things will become troublesome. Therefore, after getting married, he began to prepare for the Lin family to cultivate strong men who could stand alone. Thinking in his mind, Lin Chen's movements were not slow. Soon, he exchanged a lot of treasures for the fetus from the system, and then came to the main hall where Chu Siding was. After some busy work, Lin Chen couldn't help but reveal a faint smile on his face as he looked at his wife, who had become lethargic and just stayed in the room. Although the treasures he exchanged were for nurturing the fetus, they also had many benefits for the mother. When he used the origin of his innate Tao body to cure Chu Xiao's physical defects, the latter gained a lot of benefits. Not only has his physique evolved to the level of the Zhian treasure body in one fell swoop, but his cultivation level has also achieved 3 consecutive jumps, reached the second level of blood exchange realm. After that, every time she worked hard, Chu Siding, who had a lower cultivation level, was able to gain a lot of benefits. Coupled with the help of the treasures exchanged by Lin Chen from the system, her cultivation level improved rapidly. In just half a year, he had broken through to the 9th level of the blood exchange realm, and was only 1 step away from the mortal realm. But this time, the treasure Lin Chen exchanged for Chu Siding was not only to allow the fetus to grow better, but also to allow it to break through to the realm of transformation. With the help of Yanling liquid, I think Siding will be able to break through to the mortal realm when she wakes up. Right. After taking a look at Chu Siding's steadily rising aura, Lin Chen couldn't help but think to himself, the spiritual fluid is a rare treasure in the system. It has the effect of nurturing the fetus and strengthening the foundation of the mother's body, and it has no side effects. It took him more than 20,000 luck points to exchange for just 1 drop. In the past 6 months, Lin Chen's strength has improved from the 2nd level of the magical power realm to the 4th level of the magical power realm. It can be said that it was completely invincible in the Chu dynasty. However, he did not expose his cultivation and stayed in the Lin family in a low-key manner. In addition, it is worth mentioning that with a supply of a large amount of resources, Lin Wudi's cultivation level has finally been promoted to the 9th level of the blood exchange realm, which is only 1 step away from the mortal realm. Other elders have also been promoted to the 7th level of the blood exchange realm and above. There are also 10 or 20 middle-aged and strong people who have just entered the blood-changing realm, and are gradually gaining the appearance of a noble family. Even if Lin Chen doesn't take action, the Lin family is still the top among the 7th level forces except for those who are in the mortal transformation realm. Their background is not even weaker than that of ordinary 6th grade forces. In a large hall, many senior members of the Lin family gathered here, seemingly discussing something. Suddenly, a rush of footsteps sounded in their ears, causing them to look at the closed door, reporting to the head of the family. All the qualifications of the newborns in the clan have been tested. There are 2 people with top qualifications, 6 people with high qualifications, 32 people with intermediate qualifications, and several low-level qualifications, 2 top qualifications, 6 advanced qualifications. Great, great, God has blessed my Lin family. If you cultivate high-level qualifications well, there is a glimmer of hope to break through to the mortal realm. And with top-level qualifications, with the current background of our Lin family, as long as nothing happens, we will definitely be a strong man in the mortal realm in the future. Hearing the deacon's report outside, the faces of many senior Lin family members present suddenly showed expressions of joy. Originally, according to their estimates, among this batch of newborns it was a blessing to have 1 top-level qualification, 3 or 4 advanced qualifications, but they didn't expect the result to be far beyond their expectations. The younger generation of the Lin family, under the age of 18, combined together only had 3 high-level qualifications, and there was not even a top-level descendant. This leap was so huge that they couldn't help but be surprised. No wonder those wealthy families have been prosperous for thousands of years. It turns out that the problem arises here. Yes, it's just some special elixir brewed using secret methods to cultivate the fetus. I didn't expect the effect to be so good. What the royal family gave us was only a medium cultivation method. Those ancient aristocratic families have high-level cultivation methods, and the effect will be even more amazing. If our Lin family can possess it, then at the thought of this, a trace of desire flashed across the faces of many senior Lin family members present. In fact, what they don't know is that, let alone the medium cultivation method, even the high cultivation method does not have such an exaggerated effect. The reason for all this is actually very simple. First of all, the Lin family's luck has been promoted to blue, and the newborn's qualifications have been blessed by 10%. Then the Lin family's cultivation has generally improved a lot. In addition, the cultivation method and the qualifications of the clan's wives are better than before. It's a lot, and that's what made such a big leap. Thanks to book friends, monthly passes for Hu Yimin. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Lin Feng's Cruelty. And just when many senior members of the Lin family were extremely surprised by the qualifications of the newborn baby on the other side, in a large hall deep inside the Lin family, ever since Lin Ling broke through to the level of a 3rd-level alchemist, and received the respect of his tribe and the resources he readily took out, Lin Feng felt that even if he struggled for several years, he might not be able to accumulate it until later. He seemed to be stimulated by something. He began to practice crazily and hard day and night. He enters the Linglong Pagoda several times a day to practice until his soul power is exhausted, recovers, and then enters it to practice hard. Only Lin Feng knew how much suffering and torture it was. Fortunately, he survived. 4 times the soul power. I finally achieved it. With a tired look on his face, Lin Feng dragged his body that was tingling but feeling comfortable, and slowly moved to the bedside. After swallowing a 2nd-grade elixir to restore his energy, he fell asleep. These 2 siblings are really alike. How dare you use your exquisite treasure body to hone your soul power? At the moment when Lin Feng finally fell asleep, Lin Chen, who was guarding Chu's sighting, suddenly felt something in his heart and cast his gaze on him, with a trace of surprise flashing in his eyes. It is convenient for the soul to enter the Linglong Pagoda to hone martial arts, but it consumes the power of the soul. If it consumes too much, people will become drowsy. However, if the soul wants to be tempered, it must persist in resisting this state and exhausting the soul's power, in order to stimulate its potential and transform the quality of the soul's power. This process sounds simple, but is extremely painful in practice. At the beginning, Lin Chen took advantage of Lin Ling's breakthrough to reach the level of a 3rd-level alchemist, and probably showed up to stimulate Lin Feng and make a promise: as long as his soul power can reach more than 4 times that of ordinary creatures, he will give him a great gift, a gift that can catch up with Lin Ling's footsteps. Unexpectedly, Lin Feng did it so quickly. With a flash of figure, Lin Chen's figure came to his side. Looking at Lin Feng's sweet sleeping expression, he couldn't help but murmur to himself, "You two siblings are very determined, but you are more ruthless. Keep up this fierceness, and maybe you can go further, since I promised you that I will give you a great gift when your soul power reaches more than 4 times that of ordinary creatures. I will naturally not break my promise. A rebirth pill, a soul-nourishing pill, and an inheritance from a 5th-level talisman maker. I hope you won't disappoint me." With that said, Lin Chen placed these treasures next to Lin Feng. Then he turned around and left. Here, compared to alchemists, the conditions for becoming a talisman maker are more stringent. Although there is no requirement to practice any attribute skills, it is required to have a soul power 4 times greater than that of ordinary creatures in order to be qualified to become a talisman maker. Of course, if a talisman maker practices fire attribute skills and then makes fire-type talismans, he will definitely be more comfortable, but it will be even more difficult to make water-type talismans. Similar to alchemists, talisman makers are also divided into low, medium, high, top and other qualifications. 4 times the soul power is low level, 5 times the soul power is intermediate. By analogy, 7 times the power of the soul can be called a top level talent for making spells. It was precisely because of the harsh conditions of the talisman maker that Lin Chen set such a threshold for Lin Feng. He wanted to see how much potential Lin Feng had and how strong his perseverance was. Now that Lin Feng had given him a satisfactory answer sheet, he would naturally not be stingy. Early the next morning, Lin Feng, who had been lying in bed for more than 10 hours, his eyelashes trembled slightly, and then he opened his closed eyes. The first thing you do when you wake up is to explore the quality of your soul power. The power of the soul is really 4 times that of ordinary creatures. Feeling the quality of the soul power entrenched in his mind, Lin Feng couldn't help but show excitement on his face. "By the way, my ancestor said that as long as I am," Lin Feng was mumbling to himself. Before he finished speaking, he noticed several treasures beside the bed. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes, and he quickly picked up these treasures. Rebirth pill, a top-level 5th grade elixir. Effect: it can greatly improve the user's basic understanding. The upper limit is that of a top-level spiritual body. Nourishment pill, a 6th grade intermediate pill. Effect: it can greatly improve the user's soul quality. The upper limit is the primary treasure level soul talent. Jade talisman, contains a 5th grade talisman maker's inheritance. As soon as Lin Feng picked up these treasures, there was a message in his mind, which contained detailed introductions to the things in front of him. As he immediately took a breath of cold air thinking about it with his buttocks, Lin Feng also knew who put these treasures here. "Ancestor, don't worry, I will definitely live up to your expectations." With an indescribable touch, Lin Feng secretly swore in his heart. Then he couldn't wait to take these treasures and dive into the Linglong Pagoda. After discovering that the pagoda could still extract the power of these 2 pills, they immediately started refining them. Ho-ho-ho, as sounds like howling wind sounded in the space, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that filled the air suddenly gathered towards Lin Feng. The rich spiritual energy was refined by Lin Feng and fused with a medicinal power extracted from the Linglong Pagoda, which continuously strengthened his body and soul, allowing him to reach the 7th level of the bone-forging realm in the past 6 months, and began to rise continuously. The 7th level of the bone-forging realm. The 8th level of the bone-forging realm. The 9th level of the bone-forging realm. In just half an hour, Lin Feng's cultivation level skyrocketed to the 9th level of the bone-forging realm, and it was still rising. Lin Feng and Lin Ling are different. Several years of continuous hard training, coupled with the devil's training in the past 6 months, have made his foundation extremely strong. He does not have to worry about improving too much at once and causing the foundation to be unstable. So, after a brief silence, an even more terrifying aura suddenly erupted from him. The 1st level of Yijin realm has arrived. Feeling the power in his body that was more than 10 times stronger than before, as well as the changes in his talent and soul quality, Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal an excited smile on his face. The dual spiritual body talents of body and soul in it is the most top-notch kind among spiritual bodies. How many times the cultivation speed was before? Lin Feng didn't know yet before the cultivation test, but he could feel that the quality of his soul had reached a terrifying 66 times compared with Lin Ling. He is much stronger with the same talent. With such talent, and the assistance of the Linglong Pagoda, I will be able to step into the realm of a 1st-level talisman maker in 3 days at most. Hey, sister, if you don't work hard, be careful of me overtaking you. With this in mind, Lin Feng consolidated his current state a little and began to understand the talisman maker inheritance thanks to book friends. Peach Blossom Island Masters Monthly Pass thanks to book friend. 2021040213365781 for your monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend. 201710250702391117 for your monthly ticket. Thanks to book friends. Hongayu's monthly pass. Chapter 70. If you can't beat him, join him. With the blessing of the talents of two top-level spirits, Lin Feng's progress was very rapid. In 2 days, he crossed the threshold of a talisman maker apprentice and became a true first-level talisman maker, able to make talismans suitable for the skin-refining realm, such as Fireball Talisman, Water Dragon Talisman, etc. Then, in half a month, Lin Feng reached the level of a second-level talisman maker and completed the conditions for cultivating a second-level talisman maker in the family promotion mission. But after that, his improvement slowed down. As a result, Lin Feng's talisman maker level reached a level that suited him. Second-level talisman makers can already make some special talismans, such as building swamp talismans, water storage talismans, etc. Talisman papers that have no power but can meet the needs of some people are more difficult to make than first-level talismans. More than several times. Therefore, it took more than half a year to advance to the third-level talisman maker. At this time, Lin Ling was already a third-grade senior alchemist, third-level talisman maker. Are you sure? That guy Lin Feng has really advanced to the level of a third-level talisman maker. In a large hall, Lin Wudi looked at the third elder who reported to him, and asked again excitedly, "I'm pretty sure." Hearing this, the third elder nodded somewhat depressedly, but in his heart he was happy for Lin Feng when he said, "You think you are sister you, if you want the elixir, you can exchange it for contribution points," which made Lin Feng remember it in his heart. On the second day after becoming a talisman maker, he showed some of his talents and immediately overwhelmed the senior officials of the Lin family. Not surprisingly, Lin Feng was trained by the Lin family and enjoyed the same treatment as Lin Ling ever since. Every time I went to the treasure pavilion to apply for talismans and elixirs or elixirs for cultivation, I would make an "I have no money" gesture to the third elder, then pat my butt with the resources and leave. This cheap performance disgusted the third elder, but he couldn't bear to fight, and other high-level officials of the Lin family would not allow it. After all, this is just a trivial matter. If the third elder accidentally destroys the genius of their Lin family, it will be a huge loss. How old you are, and you are still arguing with the child. Lin Feng has no ill intentions towards you. Look at the talisman he made. The first thing he thinks of is you. That's not enough, that can't be done. Hearing this, the third elder's mouth couldn't help but curl up. There is no airtight wall in the world, not to mention that the Lin family has no intention of keeping it secret after all, with the ancestor of the Lin family in charge. So what if 2 or 3 geniuses are born? Do the forces in the Great Chu dynasty still dare to have thoughts about them? Besides, the Lin family had no grudges against them, and there was no need for the major forces to engage in such small actions that would lead to a life-or-death feud once discovered. Ever since Lin Feng became famous in Dayan City, a 16-year-old third-level talisman maker, he is also a biological sibling to the 17-year-old third-level alchemist of the Lin family. Is this true? How can it be false? Did you see that a Lin's talisman shop has opened next to Lin's pill shop? Hiss, it's true. I'll go. My sister is a third-grade alchemist. And my brother is a third-grade talisman maker. How can these 2 siblings survive? In Dayan City, when countless people heard the news, their first reaction was some disbelief. But when someone broke the news that the Lin family had opened a talisman shop, which sold third-grade talismans, even if they didn't believe it, they had to believe it. There was a heated discussion in Dayan City. There are many branches opened by major forces. After hearing the news, they reported it to the forces behind them. For a while, it caused quite a stir. Xiangxin County, Zhao family is a 5th-grade force with a powerful person in the supernatural power realm. The Zhao family is quite famous even in the entire Chu dynasty. However, today, the head of the Zhao family looked at the information in his hand with a solemn expression. 16 years old, third-level talisman maker. Could it be that the Lin family is the legendary lucky family? How come after the ancestor of the Lin family took action, not only did the qualifications of the clan members begin to rise, but even talented people were born one after another? Also, have you found out the cause of the strange phenomenon that appeared in the sky above Great Yan City last time? As he said that, the head of the Zhao family couldn't help but look at the many senior Zhao family members present, waiting for their answers, reporting to the head of the family. Based on our search of ancient books and the timing of the birth of the vision, It is estimated that the vision that caused the heaven and earth phenomena in the sky above Dayan City a month ago was most likely the birth vision of the descendant of the ancestor of the Lin family. What? The descendant of the ancestor of the Lin family? Hearing this, the head of the Zhao family couldn't help but change his expression in the hearts of the major forces in the Great Chu dynasty. The ancestor of the Lin family was able to reach the astonishing level of magical powers at the age of just over 100 years old, and his combat power was even more powerful. Such talents were at least to the level of a divine body, or even it is very likely that it is a top-level divine body according to rumors. The princess of the Chu dynasty, who married the ancestor of the Lin family, was also a top spiritual body. It was very reasonable for the offspring born from the combination of the two to be able to induce visions. The new generation of the Chu dynasty is really born at the wrong time. When they grow up, they will probably find out and despair that there is a truly peerless monster standing in front of them like a majestic ancient sacred mountain, unable to cross. I couldn't even walk in front of him, I could only watch from a distance. What a tragedy and what an honor. After being silent for a while, the head of the Zhao family couldn't help but sigh, with infinite emotion flashing through his heart. With a peerless figure like the ancestor of the Lin family paving the way for him, it is almost impossible for those geniuses of the Lin family to die young in the short term. Maybe nothing, but when these geniuses grow up, the structure of the Chu dynasty may undergo earth-shaking changes. Thinking of this, the head of the Zhao family was silent for a while. Immediately he ordered, "Send the order and send me, the legitimate daughter of the Zhao family, to Dayan City. I will find a way to make friends with Lin Ling and Lin Feng of the Lin family. If possible, it is best to marry Lin Feng. The master of the house is wise." Hearing this, the eyes of many elders present flashed and they immediately agreed. As an elder of a fifth-grade force, who is not an old monster who has lived for hundreds or thousands of years, he immediately understood the plan of the family leader's move. Since there is no way to limit the development of the Lin family, then win over him in this way. Even if the Lin family develops in the future and affects the structure of the Chu dynasty, the impact on their Zhao family can be minimized. It's not just the Zhao family in the Chu dynasty. Many forces that received the news reacted more or less. And many leaders of the forces also made similar decisions to the head of the Zhao family. It's just that the goals are different. For a time, the entire Chu dynasty could not help but feel an undercurrent. Thank you, book friend, YHF 589, for your monthly past. Thanks to book friends 20221101212659146 for their monthly votes. Chapter 71, The Terror of the True Spirit Realm King. At the same time, the royal capital King Chu looked at the information in his hand and couldn't help but smile. Compared with the temporary actions of these forces, he can be said to be sitting firmly on the Daoyute. No matter how powerful Lin Chen's son may be in the future, is he still his nephew? With this relationship, the Chu dynasty cannot be in chaos. However, my good nephew is just 1 month old now, so I have to express my gratitude. Thinking of this, King Chu's heart moved, and a decree was immediately passed on. Not long after, a convoy left the royal capital and sped towards the direction of Great Yan City. Although there is a relationship with his nephew and uncle, he still has to express himself in normal times, otherwise, when he grows up, the relationship with him will be long gone. Ling building grass, yuan pill, and Qi enriching pill. Tisk tisk tisk. Zaire, this cheap uncle, is quite generous. In the Lin family, Lin Chen, who was teasing his son, couldn't help but feel a flash of surprise in his eyes when he saw the gift sent by his subordinates from the king of Chu to congratulate his nephew on his full moon. These treasures, if he exchanged them with luck points, would be worth at least 30,000 in one full moon. King Chu sent so many treasures on behalf of the Chu family, which shows how much he values Lin Xia. Lin Xia is the name Lin Chen chose for his son, which means longing for the Kyushu China in his previous life. What makes Lin Chen most proud is that Lin Xia is a divine body, and he is also the top existence among the divine bodies. The name is innate yin and yang divine body. Not only is his cultivation speed more than 1,000 times that of ordinary creatures, but the quality of his soul power is also the same. At the same time, his physical body is naturally 10 times stronger than ordinary creatures. This is much better than the spirit body and the treasure body, where the physical body is only 3 to 5 times stronger than ordinary creatures. It can be said that Lin Xia perfectly inherited the talents of his father and mother. Of course, it's worth mentioning during this period, Lin Chen not only waited for the birth of his son, but also made significant progress in his own cultivation from the original 4th level of magical power realm to the 5th level of supernatural power realm. The sword intention has reached 80% level. As long as you understand it to the 90% perfection level sword intention level, You can understand the attributes and evolve your own domain, thus break through to the realm of sword realm. For example, after Lin Chen realized the sword intention to 90% perfection and understood the attribute of destruction, he could form the sword intention of destruction. If it evolved its own domain, it could be called the domain of the sword of destruction. Of course, it's very difficult to do this. Many emperors at the 9th level of the true spirit realm and even the nirvana realm have not evolved their own realm in the Dongshan continent. Those who can evolve their own domain are all famous and powerful figures who control hundreds of millions of mountains and rivers. They are the supreme beings who truly stand at the top of this continent. I wonder if, with my current cultivation and background, I can fight against a king of the first level of the true spirit realm. The gap between the magical power realm and the true spirit realm is very large. For example, a strong person at the 9th level of the ordinary magical power realm can only make waves in the air with a full blow, but cannot break the space in front of him at all. However, those who are strong in the true spirit realm have condensed the true spirit, and their own strength has also transformed into the power of the true spirit. Not only has the essence of the power been improved, but they can also gather the power to point at will and explode an unparalleled blow. For those who are strong in the true spirit realm, they can easily break through the void and travel through the dimensional space. It is precisely because the gap between the two is too large that there is no reference for comparison. Even Lin Chen himself didn't know how far his combat power had reached. However, what is certain is that even the prodigies of the previous generation who have been immersed in the 9th level of the magical realm for many years in Huangshao cannot be his opponents now because, with his current full blow, he can easily break through the void. The first stage of the ultimate challenge mission only requires a 4th grade alchemist and a powerful person in the transformation realm to complete. I just don't know how generous the reward is. Shaking his head, Lin Chen did not worry about how far his combat power had reached. At this time, he focused on the taskbar on his personal panel, and a trace of expectation flashed in his heart. At this time, the Lin family has accumulated dozens of masters in the blood exchange realm. In addition to Lin Wudi, who is only one step away from the mortal realm and can break through as long as he accumulates for a while, there are also 3 masters in the blood exchange realm. The elders of Jiazhuang were in charge. There are as many as 10 beings above the 7th level of the blood exchange realm. As for those below the 7th level of the blood exchange realm, the number has exceeded double 10 if the mission is completed and the gift package rewarded by the system is rich enough. It means that the Lin family's strength or foundation will assure an equalitative leap. Of course, in a short period of time, the ultimate challenge of family promotion is still relatively difficult to complete. After all, it's not that easy for a 4th grade alchemist to break through. But before that, we can complete the first main mission first. In 2 months, the Great Chu Dynasty's Triennial Alchemist Conference is about to begin. And this is also a good opportunity for Lin Ling to stand out and be on the Great Chu talent list. As long as you can get on the list, you can complete this main mission, but the higher you rank, the more generous rewards you will get. According to Lin Chen's understanding of the situation with Lin Ling's 3rd grade senior alchemy master and 1st level marrow cleansing realms cultivation, there is still a great hope of being on the Great Chu Xianjiao list. However, it is more difficult to get a good ranking. After all, the Chu Xianjiao list only includes geniuses under the age of 30 and Lin Ling is only 17 years old now. Compared with those geniuses who are in their 20s and 20s, they are really at a disadvantage. It's also time to hand this 4th grade top alchemist's experience handbook into her hands. Thinking of this, Lin Chen couldn't help but think of the system's rewards after Lin Ling was promoted to 3rd level alchemist last time. Originally, he wanted to wait until he reached the 3rd level of top alchemy master before giving it to Lin Ling. This would allow her to break through to the level of a 4th level alchemist in one fell swoop. But now, in order to get a better ranking, there is no need to delay anyway. With Xiaojia's teachings and now using this opportunity, it won't be long before he can break through to the level of a 4th level alchemist. He did whatever he wanted and glanced at his son who had fallen into deep sleep. Lin Chen's figure flashed and disappeared immediately. When he reappeared, he was already next to Lin Ling, who had just finished refining a 3rd grade high-level elixir. Linger has met the ancestor. Lin Ling, who was used to Lin Chen being invisible, was not surprised this time, but still hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Yes, you have actually refined the 3rd grade high-grade elixir blood evil pill. It seems that you are not far away from being a top-grade 3rd grade alchemist. After taking a look at the freshly baked elixir in Lin Ling's hand, Lin Chen couldn't help but said with some surprise, thanks to book friend Wu Yunji for his monthly pass. Thanks to book friends 201805312232452660 for their monthly votes. Chapter 72 Nourishing Blood and Marrow Pill. You must know that although the Blood Evil Pill is only a third-grade high-grade pill, its refining difficulty is no less than that of an ordinary third-grade top pill. After all, refining the Blood Evil Pill requires adding a wisp of Blood Evil Key, which is quite a test of skill for the alchemist. Lin was able to refine it now, which was indeed beyond Lin Chen's expectation. It's all taught well by the teacher. Hearing this, Lin smiled sheepishly. Everyone can see your own efforts, but not all of them are my fault. At this time, Xiao Jia, who was in the Jade Talisman, also floated out. He nodded to Lin Chen first, and then looked at Lin with a satisfied look on his face. For this cheap disciple she is quite satisfied. Not only is she extremely talented, but she also works very hard. In addition, she is also very filial. You must know that when Yi first recovered, her combat power was only equivalent to about the third level of the mortal transformation realm. But now, as Lin often pays attention to helping herself collect elixirs to restore the power of her soul, her strength has returned to the third level of the supernatural realm. Okay, please stop flattering each other. I came here this time to give you an opportunity. I hope you can strive for a better ranking in the upcoming Alchemist Conference. It is best to rush into the list of geniuses of the Chu dynasty and promote the prestige of our Lin family. With that said, Lin Chen took out a handbook containing the lifetime experience of a fourth-grade top alchemist. Yes, Linger will definitely live up to our ancestors' expectations. Without any hesitation, Lin agreed. She knows very well who gave her the cultivation and status she has today. It can be said that without her ancestors, she would not be as brilliant as she is today. The family spent so much resources to train her. Nowadays, it is natural for her to bring honor to her family and be on the list of the great Chu talents. Well, you should work hard. When the Great Chu Dynasty Alchemist Conference begins, I will personally send you there. After saying that, Lin Chen turned around and disappeared. Looking at the experience notes in their hands, Lin and Xiao Jia couldn't help but look at each other. Without saying anything, Lin immersed himself in it and began to comprehend in an instant. A torrent of information containing various alchemy experiences, techniques, precautions and other related information continued to pour into her mind. Under Xiao Jia's training, Lin, who had already laid a very deep foundation, was like a dry sponge, constantly absorbing the experience and turning it into material for growth. I don't know how long it took for Lin to wake up from the realization before Xiao Jia could say anything. Lin walked to an alchemy furnace and began to use the power of qi and blood in his body to control the size of the flames in the furnace. He took out portions of third-grade elixirs from the storage ring, threw it into the alchemy furnace, and began to refine it. This is the third-grade top elixir, the nourishing and marrow elixir. As a 7th-level alchemist, Xiao Jia could determine the elixir she wanted to refine based on the elixir Lin threw into the elixir furnace. For a moment, a hint of surprise appeared on Xiao Jia's face. You know, the blood-nourishing marrow pill is one of the most difficult to refine among the third-grade top pills. She only started trying to refine this pill after she became a third-grade top alchemist. Of course, it is difficult to refine this elixir, but the effect is very good. It can improve the cultivation level of a strong person in the marrow cleansing realm from the 2nd to the 4th level, or it can improve the cultivation level of a strong person in the blood exchange realm from the 1st to the 2nd level. The specific amount depends on luck. According to the intelligence information of the Lin family, among the alchemists under the age of 30 in the Great Chu dynasty, the most powerful ones are only the third-grade high-level ones. As long as Linger can refine the blood-nourishing marrow pill, even if those guys have what he has hidden, is enough to win the top 3 or even first place in this alchemist conference. However, if you want to be on the Great Chu Xianjiao list, even with the blessing of being an alchemist, it is still a bit reluctant based on your current cultivation level. Thinking of this, Xiao Jia couldn't help but frown. The Great Chu Xianjiao list also counts cultivators under the age of 30 in the world of Zhenwu. There has never been a shortage of geniuses. Even though the talents and background of the geniuses in the Chu dynasty are not as good as Lin, after all, they have been practicing for a long time, and they do not take other auxiliary professions at the same time, and they are fully practicing to improve their strength. Even if he is the last one on the list of geniuses of the Great Chu dynasty, judging from the information displayed on the list of geniuses, there are also cultivation levels above the 7th level of the marrow cleansing realm. It was much stronger than Lin's current level 1 cultivation of the marrow cleansing realm. Even if he is a 3rd level alchemist, he can suppress the level of the genius Lin wants to challenge at the 3rd level. And he has the cultivation level of the 4th level of the marrow cleansing realm. In terms of combat power, Even if it is not as good as the general 7th level of the marrow cleansing realm, it can still be comparable to the 6th level. The top-notch existence in the world is not much different from Lin Ling's current combat power, and this is still under the condition that the geniuses on the list of great Chu geniuses are not hiding. Look, if Lingara doesn't successfully refine the blood-nourishing marrow pill this time, then I will personally refine one for him. As long as he improves his cultivation level, it shouldn't be difficult to get on the great Chu Xianjiao list. Thinking of this, Xiao Jia suddenly calmed down. Time went by, and 2 months passed quickly since half a month ago. Dayan City, which had been calm for a long time, has become boiling again. The reason is simple: the 3-year alchemist conference held by the Great Chu Dynasty is coming soon. At this time, almost all the people in the Chu Dynasty began to have intense discussions about this upcoming event. The favorite to win the championship, the dark horse. What kind of elixir will be refined in this alchemist conference competition? Wait, anything related to the alchemist conference is among their discussions originally. This kind of grand event had almost nothing to do with a low-end big city like Dayan City. Although there were people discussing it in the city, it would never cause such a sensation. However, who in Dayan City does not know that the Lin family has a genius alchemist? Moreover, he is also a genius with a rank as high as the 3rd level. The alchemist conference is finally coming. This time, with the Lin family in charge in our great Yan City, and Lin Ling, the genius alchemist here, we will definitely get a good ranking. It goes without saying that Lin Ling is a 3rd-grade senior alchemist. He is on the same level as the royal capital's Yun family geniuses, Yun Li, Dan Chen and Yao Kuang, the geniuses of the alchemy sect. Even winning the championship is very possible. Yes, this time Great Yan City, will be completely famous in the Great Chu Dynasty. I hope Dayan City will develop better and better in the future. Countless people living in Dayan City looked in the direction of the Lin family and thought of Lin Ling's terrifying alchemy skills, and couldn't help but show a strong sense of pride on their faces. I feel honored to be a native of Dayan City thanks to the book Friends. The Prodigal Tourist's 200 starting coin reward thanks to book Friends. Consequence, result, 42 monthly passes thanks to book Friends. Monthly passes for Hui Yiman. Chapter 73 Void Shift. At the same time, Danzong is the leading alchemy sect in the Great Chu Dynasty. The alchemy sect controlled 30% of the entire dynasty's elixir resources, attracting countless geniuses to come and learn from it. Among this generation, Dan Chen and Yao Kuang are the most outstanding members of the Dam sect. Not only have their cultivation levels reached the 8th level of the marrow cleansing realm, but their alchemy skills have also reached the level of proficiency, and they have broken through to the level of a 3rd-grade senior alchemist a year ago. Chenner, this alchemist conference is about the face of our alchemy sect. Are you sure you can win the first place? In a large hall, the head of the alchemy sect stared sharply at the girl in front of him, who is wearing a white alchemist robe. As the largest alchemy force in the Chu Dynasty, winning first place in a normal alchemist conference is nothing, and it won't attract other forces to take a high look. But if you get the first place in this alchemist conference, you can convince other forces. Not only will the reputation of the alchemy sect be raised to a higher level, but the quality of the disciples who join the alchemy sect will also be much higher than before. If you fail to do so, you will not only lose face, but it will also have a considerable impact on the future of Danzong. Don't worry, Master. I have already reached the level of a 3rd-grade top alchemist a month ago. I am bound to win the championship in this alchemist competition. Danjun was full of confidence. Remember not to be careless. Yunli of the Yun family of the Imperial City is a genius with a talent for alchemy that is comparable to that of a top spiritual body. He is not inferior to you. During this time, he has probably broken through to the level of a 3rd-level top alchemist. There is also great Yan Lin Ling from the Changlin family. My teacher suspected that she had treasure-level alchemy talent. She had broken through to the level of a 3rd-grade senior alchemist several months ago. Now I estimate that if she hadn't been only 17 years old, the champion of this alchemist conference would not have been the same. There will be no surprises. The head of the Dam sect sighed faintly with his eyes. If it weren't for the strength shown by the ancestor of the Lin family, which was too terrifying, he would have had an alchemy genius like Lin Ling join the alchemy sect. No matter what the treasure-level alchemy talent, as long as they don't die, will definitely lead their alchemy sect to a higher level in the future, and maybe even become a major alchemy sect that rivals or even surpasses the Great Chu Dynasty. But unfortunately, there are not so many ifs in the world. Master, don't worry. As you said, she is too young. Regardless of whether the Lin family's genius has a treasure-level alchemy talent, she will never win the championship in this alchemist competition. Dayan is still full of confidence in himself after all. She grew up in the alchemy sect, had the inheritance of the alchemy sect, and had the personal guidance of a 5th-grade alchemist. She did not believe that she could not compare to a wild genius who had risen halfway in this regard. The head of the damn sect didn't say much. In fact, he didn't believe that the disciple he had devoted all his efforts to cultivate could not compare to Lin Ling, a genius who came from a small family like the Lin family. The ancestor of the Lin family is strong, but the background of the Lin family is shallow after all. I don't believe that the younger generations of the Lin family are as evil as him. On the other side, the royal capital, the Yun family is the #1 alchemy family in the Chu dynasty and the largest alchemy force second only to the alchemy sect. The Yun family can be said to occupy more than 20% of the elixir market in the Chu dynasty. Their power is huge and should not be underestimated. As the #1 genius of the Yun family, Yun Li not only reached the 9th level of the marrow cleansing realm, but his alchemy skills also reached the top level of the 3rd level. He has a great reputation in the royal capital, Yun Li. There are many opponents in this alchemist conference. Danzong Danjin, Yao Kuang, and Lin Ling from the Lin family are all your strong opponents. Are you sure? This time at the alchemist conference, my only opponent is Dan Chen? Yun Li looked in the direction of Danzong, his eyes full of fighting intent. He didn't pay any attention to Lin Ling, who was in Great Yan City. If the alchemist conference had to wait another year or 2 to start, he might still be worried, but now, he has practiced for more than 10 years more than her. So what if Lin Ling is suspected to be a treasure-level alchemist genius? His talent isn't bad either. You are indeed the proud son of my Yun family. Go, participate in this alchemist conference, promote the reputation of my Yun family, and suppress your opponents. The head of the Yun family couldn't help but cheer loudly when he saw his son's confident words. Its father. With that said, Yun Li left the Yun family, protected by many strong men of the Yun family. At the same time, Lin Ling, who had been in seclusion for 2 full months in Great Yan City, suddenly opened his eyes. A powerful momentum flashed across her body. 5th level of marrow cleansing realm. Feeling this powerful force in her body, Lin Ling couldn't help but reveal a smile. Ever since she accepted the inheritance from the 4th-grade top alchemist's experience notes, her alchemy skills began to improve by leaps and bounds. And the deep foundation laid by Caog's previous teachings came into play. Not only did he refine the blood-nourishing marrow elixir, but he also raised Lin Ling's level of alchemist to the top level of the 3rd-level alchemist in one fell swoop, and he was only 1 step away from being a 4th-level alchemist at this point. She knew that her skills as an alchemist could not be improved in a short time. He took the blood-nourishing marrow pill he had refined and entered the secret room to retreat. Lin Ling was lucky enough to maximize the effect of this elixir and was promoted from the 1st level of the marrow cleansing realm to the 5th level of the marrow cleansing realm. If we talk about combat power, even an ordinary person at the 9th level of the marrow cleansing realm may not be her opponent. The alchemist conference is about to start. Let's go. At this moment, Lin Chen's figure suddenly appeared in front of Lin Ling and Caog. Seeing the latter nodded. He didn't talk too much. After signaling Caog to enter the Jade Talisman, he used the power of his magical power to wrap Lin Ling. Then, with a move in his heart, a monstrous sword intent pierced the void in front of him and plunged headfirst into the sky. Go in, void shift. His feeling the method used by Lin Chen, Caog, who was in the Jade Talisman, couldn't help but take a breath of cold air and looked at Lin Chen with shock in his eyes. You must know that if you want to break the void in the world of Zhenwu, you must have the fighting power of a king in the true spirit realm. Otherwise, the void cannot be shaken at all. And from the aura that Lin Chen just exuded, she clearly sensed that his cultivation level was only at the 5th level of the supernatural realm. Originally I thought you were just comparable to those peerless talents in Dongshan continent, but now it seems that I still underestimate you. Looking at Lin Chen deeply, Caog couldn't help but feel silently mourning for this generation of peerless monsters in Dongshan continent. Even if he is the peerless genius who ranks first on the list of geniuses in Dongshan continent, when one possesses the combat power of a true spirit realm king, one's cultivation level must be at least the 7th level of the supernatural realm. One is at the 5th level of the magical power realm, and the other is at the 7th level of the magical power realm. Even for ordinary cultivators, the latter can easily crush the former, let alone the true peerless genius. The gap between the two is really too big thanks to book friends, Xiaoluo Fixing's monthly pass. Chapter 74. The Shocked Heroes. The competition begins. Just when Caog's thoughts were swirling in his heart, in just a few dozen breaths, Lin Chen crossed tens of thousands of miles of mountains and rivers, and took Lin Ling to the outside of the capital of the Chu dynasty without disturbing anyone. He just found a remote place and landed there then, with a step of several hundred feet, as if shrinking to an inch. He walked unsteadily in the direction of the main gate of the royal capital at the same time. In a huge square in the royal capital more than 1 million people have gathered. And powerful men from various major forces rely on their own powerful strength to levitate their viewing seats in the air and look down on all living beings amidst the envious eyes of countless people among these suspended seats. There is a palace with a radius of 100 feet, suspended above many forces. It is the viewing seat of the Dachu royal family. Ho ho ho, the long-awaited alchemist conference is finally about to begin. I don't know who can win the crown this time. Needless to say, of course it's Fairy Danchin from Danzalong. She reached the level of a third-grade senior alchemist a year ago. TCH, young Master Yun Li of the Yun family in our royal capital is not bad either. Didn't he also reach this level a year ago? No one is optimistic about Lin Ling of the Lin family in Great Dayan City? I heard that she has also reached the realm of a third-level advanced alchemist. Come on, if it's a comparison of talent, then there's no need to say that Lin Ling can indeed occupy the first place at her age, but this alchemist conference is about competing for alchemy skills. She, an alchemist who has just stepped into the third level of advanced alchemy, can compete with Yunli, Danjin, and Yao Kuang, who have been immersed in this realm for a year. Can they compete, really? Looking at the tens of thousands of alchemy furnaces placed on the competition stage in the square, countless people talked excitedly, and launched a heated discussion about who could win the championship. Although someone mentioned Lin Ling's name, but most people are still more optimistic about Dan Chen and Yun Li, two alchemy geniuses who have been famous for many years. However, this is not surprising. Both Dan Chen and Yun Li's reputations as geniuses have been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Coupled with Lin Ling's age and the time she has become a third-grade senior alchemist, others will indeed think that she is slightly inferior to the previous ones. Two geniuses matched in strength. Have the Lin family not arrived yet? While countless people were talking about it, King Chu couldn't help but frown when he saw that the alchemist conference was about to begin, and there was no sign of Lin Ling. This alchemist conference was unusual. Not only did the Chu dynasty bring out many treasures as rewards for the conference, the Alchemist Association of the Great Chu dynasty also contributed a lot of treasures with a level of Lin Ling, a third-grade senior alchemist. As long as he performs normally, he can at least get a good ranking in the top 5. And the rewards he receives are comparable to the entire heritage of a 1,000-year-old family like the Wang family of Shiangxin County. Is there any reason for her not to come? Did something unexpected happen? Thinking of this, King Chu's expression couldn't help but change. Although he didn't believe that anyone else in the Chu dynasty would dare to offend the Lin family and challenge the majesty of his royal family, he was afraid of the forces secretly cultivated by the enemy and wanted to take the opportunity to rouse the rebellion of the Chu dynasty. Chaos. Thus targeting Lin Ling. Think about it, not long ago, because the Li family wanted to target Lin Ling and invited the Wang family to help, which aroused Lin Chen's anger. Not only did the Li family uprooted in one fell swoop, even the Wang family in Shiangxin County did not escape. It can be seen that Lin Chen was decisive in killing. What if something happened to Lin Ling? It's okay to know the murderer clearly, but if he doesn't know, the entire Chu dynasty may be turned upside down. Come here, send the royal capital guards. Before King Chu finished speaking, suddenly, a sharp voice interrupted his next words. The Lin family has arrived in Dayan City. As soon as these words came out, the square, which was originally bustling with people, suddenly fell silent. Swish swish swish. Countless people turned their heads and looked at an entrance into the square. They saw a handsome young man wearing a white robe, carrying a beautiful girl about 17 years old, walking towards them step by step. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows when he saw the scene. Without saying much, he led Lin Ling to the void, as if walking on flat ground, walked to the side of the seat of the Chu dynasty, and then gently pointed towards the void in front of him. Suddenly, an extremely rich aura of heaven and earth and Taoism evolved into a huge throne, like white jade, which looked so gorgeous and colorful under the sunlight. Lin family, Lin Chen, have met all of you fellow Taoists. Lin Chen, who had already stood at the foot of the throne at some point, first nodded to King Chu, then glanced at the many forces present suspended in the air, cupped his hands and said, as soon as these words came out, the peaceful atmosphere of the scene was immediately broken. Many strong men who were suppressed by Lin Chen's hands stood up involuntarily and responded with their hands raised. We have met fellow Taoist Lin. Not only them, but even those higher-ranking fifth-grade powerful people did not dare to make excuses when they saw this, and they blew themselves up one after another. The Zhao family, Zhao Wuji, has met fellow Taoist Lin Chen, the leader of Yunaiyu sect. You buy. Has met fellow Taoist Lin Chen. Many powerful men of 6th rank and above in the Great Chu dynasty stood up and responded to Lin Chen with their hands raised. This extremely spectacular scene was simply shocking to many people present, and even many people from outside the Chu dynasty, and an indescribable emotion flashed through their hearts like pride, like envy, like expectation. A man born between heaven and earth, how can he live in a state of depression for a long time? This is how life should be in this world. Is this the legendary ancestor of the Lin family? I can't feel any energy fluctuations on his body. How far has he reached? It's better to be famous than to meet the person. The ancestor of the Lin family is really strong. With just a few moves, you can use endless spiritual energy and Taoist charm to form a suspended throne. It is not affected by our power. I can't control such power, not only the people below, but even those powerful men with 6 levels of power and above, looked at Lin Chen's figure and felt huge waves in their hearts. Most of them had only heard of Lin Chen's reputation and achievements, but had never met him in person. But when they met today, they realized that they still underestimated him with this aura that is as vast as an abyss and cannot be explored. I am afraid that among the many powerful men present, none of them can be his opponent. Fellow Taoists, you're welcome. The protagonists of this conference are the younger generation present. We can't do anything for you. Ha ha ha. What fellow Taoist said is absolutely true. I declare that this alchemist conference has officially begun. After some pleasantries, the 9,999th alchemist competition of the Chu dynasty officially opened under the announcement of the King of Chu. Thank you, book friend. 20230318155938642 for your monthly ticket. Thanks to book friends. Zio Liho is 2 monthly passes. Thanks to book friends. CJQ Gems monthly pass. Chapter 75. Geniuses are always different. According to the rules of the Great Chu Dynasty Alchemist Conference, the first round is the preliminary round. Except for alchemists of 3rd grade and above, everyone must compete on the stage. In this regard, neither the contestants nor the many spectators at the scene had any opinions. After all, the level of 3rd grade alchemists can already prove their strength, which is far beyond what 2nd grade alchemists can match. Boom boom boom. As the first game of the Alchemist Conference began, in the center of the square, there was a 4-story arena that looked like a pyramid. On the 1st and 2nd floors, there were tens of thousands of alchemists scattered in all directions, bursting out waves of powerful energy and blood. The power turns into fuel for the flame of the alchemy furnace. Thousands of fires are roaring, and the fragrance of elixirs is overflowing. This is something that every alchemist conference will experience. Even if some people have seen this scene more than once, they can't help but exclaim, "Come on, Mr. Wang, you are the best. Dandan, come on, you must advance to the next round." Without those geniuses who have reached the realm of 3rd grade alchemists, my son Li Hua will surely come out on top. The atmosphere at the scene gradually became noisy. Even the strong men of the 6th and 5th ranks who were suspended in mid-air couldn't help but pay close attention. They were both concerned about the situation of the disciples in their own forces, and wanted to see if there were any wild geniuses with good income. The sect may hire him as a worshipper of his own family. It can be said that a large part of the reason why these forces actively participate in the Alchemist Conference is because of this. Amid the wild shouts of the crowd, 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Tens of thousands of 2nd grade alchemists, after 4 rounds of preliminary competition, finally selected 100 2nd grade alchemists to advance to the next round. We have invited our 3rd grade alchemists to go to the 3rd level of the competition arena to participate in the competition and decide who will be among the top 100. A 5th grade alchemist from the Alchemist Association walked to the top of the ring and announced loudly, suddenly. From each seat suspended in the void, many colorful energy chains turned into long bridges leading to the 3rd floor of the arena. Dozens of young people wearing moon-white alchemist robes with 3 white elixirs embroidered on them stepped into the long bridge from their seats and walked step by step towards the 3rd floor of the arena. Lin Ling is naturally no exception. In addition to these geniuses who came from various major forces, there are also several geniuses scattered among the people who have no major influence behind them. With the blessings of the family elders, they can only look up with envy and jealousy at these geniuses walking in the sky. The figures of his peers walk toward the ring step by step with heavy steps. With my alchemy talent, after today, I should be able to enjoy special treatment like those geniuses, right? Thinking in his heart, the more these young people walked away, the more the light in their eyes kept flickering, and a trace of something called ambition spread in their hearts. Okay, now that everyone is here, the game officially begins. Seeing that many alchemists had arrived, The fifth-grade alchemist who presided over the alchemist conference immediately announced loudly, "Puff puff." Lights that were brighter than the flames in the previous 10 alchemy furnaces rose from their alchemy furnaces. Zilla, zilla. When the elixir met the fire, the harsh sound erupted, resounding throughout the world. The alchemists on the stage threw the elixirs beside them into the alchemy furnace one after another, and refined them into pools of liquid medicine, which were suspended on one side of the alchemy furnace. Since most of the more than 100 alchemists present were second-grade alchemists, even the dozens of third-grade alchemists were mostly early-stage third-grade alchemists. There were no more than 20 intermediate third-grade alchemists, and advanced third-grade alchemists. There are only a few of them. Therefore, the elixir that needs to be refined for this competition is a third-grade elixir. The difficulty is only slightly higher than the simplest third-grade elixir. Brother Lin, who do you think among them can refine this blood-changing pill first? At this time, King Chu on the side suddenly asked Lin Chen, "Brother Chu, you will know after reading it. Anyway, the genius of my Lin family will not let me down." Oh, hearing Lin Chen's confident words, King Chu couldn't help but be slightly startled, and then he couldn't help but look forward to it. He knew that this alchemist conference was a competition between the Yun family and the Dayan sect. They are all determined to win first place. If you fight to the end, you will find that the champion is neither your opponent nor yourself, but Lin Ling, who you always thought was young and still needs a year or two of training. That scene was interesting to him just thinking about it. Just like this, a few hours later, as the first blood-changing elixir was successfully released, it was like a domino effect. And people continued to refine this elixir, but more players spent 3 portions of medicinal materials, but all failed to refine them. Left sadly after many players handed over the elixirs they refined soon. The 5th-grade alchemist who was hosting the alchemist conference came to the ring again. "Now I announce the rankings. The first place, Lin Ling, took 3 hours and a quarter. The quality of the elixir is super, and it is 15% more effective than the elixir of the same level. The second place, Dayan Chen, took 3 hours and 2 quarters. The quality of the elixir is super, and it is 10% more effective than the same level of elixir. The third place, Yunli, took 3 hours and 3 quarters. The quality of the elixir is super, and it is 10% more effective than the same level of elixir. Ninth place, Jin's Hitchin, took 4 hours and a quarter, and the quality of the elixir is of the highest quality. His first place, Lin Ling, 3 hours and a quarter. The medicine is still 15% more effective than the same level. Oh, after hearing the news announced by the host, everyone present could not help but open their mouths, and their eyes were full of disbelief. Although the blood exchange pill is only a third-grade junior elixir, it cannot fully demonstrate the level of an alchemist above the third-grade advanced level, but under the same conditions, Lin Ling was able to refine elixirs faster than Yunli, Danjun and the others. Which already explained a lot of problems. At the very least, her foundation and talent are not comparable to the latter. Now we have something good to watch. We are both third-grade high-level alchemists. With Lin Ling's profound knowledge, he may not be able to win the championship here. Yes. I originally thought that Lin Ling, a dark horse, could reach the top 5 at most, but I didn't expect that. I still underestimated her. She is definitely a good contender for the championship. Next, there will be something good to watch. The audience at the scene suddenly burst into bursts of noise after a brief silence. Although they were very surprised by Lin Ling's performance, everyone had long accepted his character as an alchemy genius. Even if his performance was more outstanding than they imagined, they were quickly accepted. After all, geniuses are always different, right? Thanks to the book friend, a reward of 100 starting coins for a pure man. Thanks to book friends, a monthly ticket for the rapid passage of time. Thanks to book friend. 20210630211803236 for your monthly ticket. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.